No one will answer?
On my end, Your Honor,
Yes.
I really have no personal knowledge. Kasi ang nabasa ko rin po is various
Okay.
areas.
Who gave the travel authority?
May I see again? Just a moment, please.
Sige.
The travel authority was signed by the Assistant Chief of Staff, Your Honor, Mr. Ortonio.
Pinapa-excuse ko na sana. Diba? So, he's your assistant, right? Can you not call him up and say, where are these persons ba? I'm just interested with Acosta and Farda.
I will try to reach out to him, Your Honor.
Oh, so you cannot contact your assistant, chief of staff?
Oh, because when I arrived, as mentioned earlier,
Oh.
yes, I arrived only and reported to the office yesterday. I have not seen him,
Kaya nga,
actually.
but I'm sure there are means of communication, you know? He being your assistant. In this day and age, I'm sure someone could get in touch with anyone. Would you not agree, Attorney Lopez?
I will try to reach
Okay,
out.
I'll give you a few minutes, ha? Thank you.
No worries, Your Honor.
Yeah, just a quick manifestation, Mr. Chair. Ms. Zulay, Attorney Lopez, how long have you been in government?
Your Honor, I was a recipient of a loyalty award, so for 10 years. So I suppose more than 10
Okay.
years.
So previous to your position now, you worked as city administrator of Davao City, correct?
That is correct, Your Honor.
So as city administrator, I'm sure travel authorities would come and go your desk.
For certain officials only, Your Honor.
Yes. So but they would come your desk. Ikaw ang pumipirma, ikaw ang signatory, ikaw may
Yeah.
authority.
That is,
And you would know that open-ended travel orders are generally prohibited. You cannot issue a travel order that doesn't specify to where you're going, up to when will you be there, and the other details and purpose of your travel. Is that correct?
Your Honor, Mr. Chair, the preparation of, when I was a city administrator, the preparation of documents as regard travel authorities is actually handled by the Human Resource Division.
Yes, I'm not asking Attorney Lopez who prepares them.
Yes.
As an attorney and as a city administrator, you know that it is prohibited, generally prohibited, to issue travel orders that are open-ended, meaning no specific place, purpose, and time.
Your Honor, I would think that in this case, it can be justified because there is a schedule of activities happening on these dates. So at the very least, I would think that it limits
So if you think it's justified,
the areas.
yes, yeah.
In this particular case, Your Honor.
Yes, so if you think it's justified in this particular case, let's take this particular case as an example. So what particular places are you speaking of?
That is the matter, Your Honor, that was discussed earlier. I would have to ask and check
So
which areas.
therefore, you cannot use this example as a particular case because you yourself have no specific information as to what these various places are. Am I correct, Attorney Lopez?
Your Honor, Mr. Chair, there is a list of activities happening across our satellite offices. That can be indication of which areas they will be traveling to.
So meaning, is this a regular practice in the Office of the Vice President where you issue travel orders recklessly with no specific day, with no specific place, with no specific purpose? Basta ang sinusulat nyo lang yon, varios. Paano ngayon to, Attorney Lopez? Paano ngayon to, si Mrs. Villa del Rey? Nandiyan ba siya?
She probably went on restroom break, Your Honor.
Okay, tatanong ko na lang si si Attorney Sanchez. Kung ganito yung practice sa OVP, paano nyo charge ng per dime? Tapos paano kayo nag-i-issue ng ha? travel voucher? Paano kayo nag-i-issue ng pambayad ng ticket, pambili ng gasolina, pambayad sa kain, sa eroplano? Kung ito, sinasabi nyo, various places. Various places can mean here, there, everywhere. From the North Pole to the South Pole. So, I mean, you can't expect the committee to believe that one reason to why your officials are not present is because they're attending to activities in various places. That's totally unacceptable. Is this a practice in your office, Attorney Sanchez?
Mr. Chair, usually before we issue a travel order, there are attachments to it. The first one would be the request for
I'm
travel
not asking that,
authority.
Attorney Sanchez. I know the process because I used to work as a chief executive in a local government unit. I know how it works. So don't tell me the process. What I'm asking you, ito ba ay practice sa Office of the Vice President na recklessly nag-i-issue kayo ng travel authority?
No, Mr. Chair.
O, ba't nyo ginagawa? Kung hindi naman pala. So, ba't nyo ginagawa?
Mr. Chair,
So therefore,
Did
kung
not
hindi nyo
issue.
pala talagang ginagawa, ngayon nyo lang ginawa. Kung kailan may hearing tayo sa good government, na parang lumalabas, sadyang iniiwasan nyo na dumalo yung mga opisyalis ninyo dito sa amin pangdinig. Kasi talagang isasabay nyo pa eh. Kung kailan may hearing, sinasadya nyo na wala dito. At yung at yung pumirma pa doon sa travel authority na yon is the same person who promised that he should be here. Mr. Chair, this is beyond disrespect to the committee.
Mr. Chairman.
I mean, at the very least, are you trying to hide the truth? Is it so difficult already for people to say the truth? Nowadays, na you have to come up with all sorts of lies. But I'm telling you, you're gonna run out of excuses eventually. You're gonna run out of reasons eventually. And eventually, we're gonna get to you. So
Chairman.
with that being said, Mr. Chair, maraming salamat.
Thank you. With the indulgence
Chairman.
of Congressman Rog Gutierrez, the chair would like to recognize Congressman Paduano.
Thank you, Kong Rods and the chair. Now, ma'am, alam mo, looking back, no, balikan ko lang yung excuse letter nung nakaraan. For example, in the case of Gina Acosta, may travel authority siya, di ba, that time? And her travel was, during the time was, I think, in Bacolod City, sa satellite office. Malinaw po doon sa travel authority niya. Sinabit niyo po rito. Naka-specify po yung date at saka place. Andito ngayon si Doc Chris Uruhon, in charge of the satellite office in Western Visayas. And during that hearing, I think if my memory serves me right, that was the second invitation. And that was the excuse of Gina Acosta with the official order doon po sa Bacolod City, satellite office. Now, today, ang problema nyo kasi, ma'am, Attorney Sanchez, alam mo ba, ang problema nyo kasi ngayon, nilalabas nyo na walang specific area. Ma'am, talagang tinatago nyo. Alam mo bakit? Kasi supposedly, after the travel, if she goes back to your office, may certificate of appearance. And that certificate of appearance dapat coincide or inconsistent with the travel authority. For example, nakastipulate on Bacolod City or Region 6 satellite office. Yung certificate of appearance siya sa ibang satellite office. Will you honor it? Ma'am? Attorney? Will you honor it?
No, Mr. Chair.
Oh, no. That's why, wag niyong gamitin palusot dito na walang specific time, date, and place. Ma'am, lastly, I just want to warn you. Don't you know, by telling in this committee, you're violating Section 11 of our rules. Letter F po, undue interference. That's our internal rules. You're violating Section 11 of letter F, paragraph F of our rules. Undue interference during scheduled hearing by the committee. I just want to inform you, ma'am. And if you want to check it, you can check it in our website. Nandyan po yun, attorney. You're a lawyer, you know that.
Yes. Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Chairman.
Yes, Attorney
Mr. Chair, may I
Sanchez.
be allowed to respond, Mr.
Yes,
Chair?
please.
Mr. Chair, earlier I was asked to check for records for the travel orders. So that's what I did, Mr. Chair. I just checked, and from the report of our Central Records Unit, they provided me with copies of the travel orders, Mr. Chair. So for the period of November 10 to 15, Mr. Chair, that is what was mentioned by Honorable Congressman Paduano, that Ms. Gina Acosta traveled to a satellite office, and the place is specific. But Mr. Chair, another travel order was issued for the period of November 18 to 22, Mr. Chair. And I'm just basing it, my statement.
And who signed that
on the record.
travel order?
As mentioned earlier, Mr. Chair, it was Assistant Chief of Staff, Lemuel Ortonio.
And he's not present also.
Yes, that is
Eh,
correct.
para-pareho sila.
Who signed the travel order of Ocdonio?
For the travel, wait, Mr. Chair. For the travel, order number 2024-983, and that covers the period of November 11 to 15. The signatory of the travel order is the Vice President, Your Honor, in accordance with our
Yung
Office
ngayon,
order.
sino yung nag-sign ng travel authority? Ito ngayon.
Mr. Chair, for the travel of Ms. Acosta, Attorney Fajarda and Mr. Fajarda, the signatory is Mr. Ortonio. In
Mr.
accordance
Ortonio.
with our...
And he's
Office
also
order.
absent
that
today.
is- Yes, Mr. Chair.
Eh, paano siya sasagot? But, ma'am, last question na lang po, attorney. Regular ba yon? Yung ngayon? Regular ba o irregular? Yung travel authority na yan? In your own experience and based on the practices, supposedly the practices in your office, is it regular or irregular? Without dates, without the specific place?
Mr. Chair, it's not common, Mr. Chair. This is the first time
So that's irregular.
that is not usual, Mr. Chair.
Anyway, Mr. Chairman, ako, attorney, I have just cited our internal rules, no? I hope you will answer truthfully so that this committee will not be forced to cite you in contempt. Ganun lang po. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Chair. But as
Mr.
mentioned,
Chair.
my response is based on documents.
Ma'am, as I've told you, you're a lawyer, alam mo po. Salamat po, Chairman.
Thank you, but
Mr.
at
Chair,
this point,
can we request Kong Paduano to extend his request? Mr. Chair, can we request Kong Paduano, since he's already posting questions and looking for Ma'am Acosta, maybe they can call her over the phone kasi on official travel naman siya, so she's still active and performing her duties.
Pwede po ba
The finance
pakitawagan na
officer,
lang po
Attorney
ninyo
Sanchez and Attorney
si
Lopez.
Ma'am Acosta?
I will try, Mr. Chair.
Okay. The chair would like to recognize Congressman Rog Gutierrez. Rog.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, just a few questions lang po to continue. I think the committee should expressed its interest by asking already in Land Bank na pagtaka po talaga yung issue po of the money trail. I think we have established that the cash withdrawn from the Land Bank representing the confidential funds are taken out by the SDO in cash. Hindi pa napa-deposit sa Land Bank. And it is in the personal cost of the SDO, which is in line with the joint circular. However, this is 125 million in cash, and in the case of DepEd, 37.5 million per quarter in cold hard cash. But what is not sure yet is where Ms. Acosta and Mr. Fajardo have brought the cash. I think we've established the line so far with the tellers. We're still going to have to establish that at least from the Land Bank up until the deposit, from the release of the check up to the encashment in Land Bank. We've seen that so far, but we still have yet to establish where the cash goes after that. And we have some further questions po in relation to this. Kasi po, ang nakikita po natin, based on the testimonies, even from the last hearing, in the question of confidential funds, it all points to two people po. In the case of DepEd, at least, it's pointing to the SDO and the head of agency, in which case that would be Mr. Fajarda and then Secretary Duterte. And of course, for the OVP, although interestingly, based on our last hearing, it actually was pointed to three people. If we recall the testimony of Attorney Sanchez, she actually mentioned that based from her knowledge, the persons who would have knowledge of this confidential funds would be the SDO, si Ms. Acosta, the head of agency, which is VP Duterte, and the chief of staff, Ms. Zuleika Lopez. So in line with this, just to clarify, I'd like to ask a few questions po, no, kay Attorney Lopez, to the Honorable Chairman. Attorney Lopez, nabanggit po yung pangalan po ninyo last hearing. Just to refresh your memory, I'm sure at the time you were busy po with your personal concerns. We were asking si Attorney Sanchez po and si Ms. Ville del Rey about the processes within the OVP and the disbursement of the confidential funds. And it was mentioned, I believe, specifically by Attorney Sanchez, what we've established, at least with Ms. Ville del Rey, is that wala po silang kinalaman sa disbursement ng confidential funds. Ang alam lang po ng chief accountant is the requirements and that they would have to submit for the release of the check. And kasama rin po dito si Attorney Sanchez. However, Attorney Sanchez, I believe, made that statement that past that point, and what we've established with the Land Bank, the personalities involved with the confidential funds would be the SDO, the VP, and yourself. However, we take note po, Ms. Lopez, to the Honorable Chairman, most respectfully, na binanggit po ninyo that you're only concerned with operations. And by operations, you're talking, I guess, about the social amelioration program ng Office of the Vice President. Is that correct, Ms. Lopez?
That is correct, Your Honor. That is my role as Undersecretary and Chief of Staff of the Office of the Vice President.
Ms. Lopez, I hope you Attorney Lopez, I hope you understand how we would be how we would find that quite confusing, because generally the idea of a chief of staff would be second to the head of the agency, and by virtue of that, everyone else in that department would be under the chief of staff. Generally, that's how it works. Our understanding is that in the OVP, how many USEC positions are there? May we ask?
There's only one Undersecretary position, Your Honor.
And the undersecretary position is that of the chief of staff, correct?
That is correct.
So generally, including the SDO, although they have specific responsibilities under the circular regarding to the confidential funds, they are still under your supervision as the USEC.
The SDOs, Your Honor, do not report to me.
They don't report to you, although
do.
you are the most senior official after the vice president in the...
Your Honor, if I may be allowed to, Sir Congressman Gutierrez, if I may be allowed to explain my answer. In the Office of the Vice President, although I am the Undersecretary and the Chief of Staff, I am purely handling, as I mentioned, operational concerns. There are areas, for example, that I am not privy to, one of which is the matter of confidential expenses. But as regards the institutionalization of the projects, implementation of the projects, communications that come through the office, internal, issuances of memo, issuances of special orders, etc., they go through me. And also for external communications, Your Honor, for example, there is a request for referral to the, for example, the DSWD or the Department of Health. All these matters, Your Honor, are coursed to the Office of the Chief of Staff. And all communications emanate also from the Office of the Chief of Staff, external, especially to those national government agencies. On top of that, Your Honor, I handle the day-to-day operations of, there is a clustering in the Office of the Vice President. For example, as I'm, in the case of Director Lin, she handles the finance cluster, which is budget, accounting, GSD, no, is under you, the procurement. That is her AOR. On my end, Your Honor, I handle the frontline delivery of administrative support such as Disaster Operations Center, Legal Affairs Division, and also the protocol team. Those are matters that I have direct hand into and information I am privy to. So yun lang po yung aking areas of concern. And there are areas actually in the Office of the Vice President, katulad, for example, let me just cite, if you allow me, sir, the matter of the appointments or the scheduling of the courtesy calls, etc., on the Vice President. Although it may be true that high-ranking officials call me and say na, Yusek, attorney, confirm mo naman yung aming appointment with the Vice President. This is something that I have no say, direct say to, because this is all done by the appointments team. In the same manner, the protocol team of the Vice President, although all the members of the Diplomatic Corps call me as the head of the agency, as the highest official, and as the Chief of Staff, it does not guarantee them that there will be a scheduled courtesy call, because these are matters that are determined purely on that end. So it's I think it's a compartmentalized kind of setup, Your Honor, that there are only certain functions and tasks that I am privy to, in which case that is the one that I have mentioned earlier. But although I would wish to answer really respectfully as regards the matter of the confidential expenses, it is something that I have not really been privy to from the very beginning. So, in the case of the earlier questions by Congressman Acop, rather, it is something that I cannot really answer because I am not privy to the disbursement, utilization, nor liquidation of the confidential funds. So, ganun po siya, Your Honor. That is how it is run in the Office of the Vice President.
Okay. Thank you for the clarification, Attorney Lopez. Well, I only mentioned
Thank
that
you.
because it was the words of Attorney Sanchez that mentioned that you would probably be privy to the disbursement. And I think it would be understandable. It would be an understandable statement on the part of Attorney Sanchez because the general understanding of a chief of staff
Okay.
and being the sole USEC of that agency,
Yes.
there would be an understanding that there would be certain that you would have overall supervision. Well, in relation to the SDOs and in line with the circular, we also understand that they have specific responsibilities only to them. But we can't help but be puzzled po, no? And I understand you're telling us now that it's compartmentalized, but still we would think that generally the head of the agency would course things through you. Although necessarily separate yung sa issue ng disbursement of the SDO, wouldn't other matters regarding the SDO, for example, administrative or human resources or logistics-wise, are they not coursed through you in relation to SDO? Because if I'm understanding it correctly, the job of the SDO would also entitle a lot of travel. As you've pointed out earlier, I mean, we've seen that maraming travel orders po ang ating SDO to the point na wala rin po siya today on the because of official travel po, no? So, in relation to that, there's a lot of intermingling pa rin. Although you might say compartmentalized, there are a lot of things that would go through you. I would understand the travel orders are signed by the Assistant Chief of Staff right now only because you were gone for the longest time. But generally, you would be signing off on the travel orders of the SDO. Would that be a fair statement?
Your Honor, I do not sign off on the travel orders of certain officials, or in this case, the SDO. May I just confirm kung sino lang yung pwede kong pirmahan na travel authority? Just the ODUs, ba? Oh. In my case, Your Honor, in the case of the Office of the Vice President, I can only sign off on the travels of Directors Lynn Sanchez and Director Baloro, who is the Director for Operations. All the other travel authorities, I do not sign off on them. It is HR. Okay.
So, Mr. Chair, Attorney Lopez, you're telling us now that even sa pag-sign ng travel orders, may clustering pa po kayo? You are only authorized to issue travel orders for these two officials, and then everyone else has different parang boss? Ganun po ba yung sistema sa OVP? I hope you'd understand the confusion, because we were presented before an organization and it all seemed to be like a pyramid, downstream lahat. Although there are clusters, everything's under you. But now we're seeing that there are limits to your responsibility. Are we understanding this correctly?
Your Honor, in the Office of the Vice President, we have a certain delegation of authority. There's only certain papers or documents that get into the Office of the Chief of Staff. And there are also others that go directly to the Office of Director Sanchez, as well as the Office of Director for Operations.
Mr. Chairman, Attorney Lopez, could you please guide us through also? Ano po yung ibang clusters? I think you mentioned financial, appointment, protocol. Operations, of course, is what you're in charge of. What are the other clusters so that we have an idea? So, in line with that, Attorney Lopez, so what you're saying now is confirming what Attorney Poa told us earlier, that if you take a deeper look into the OVP, napaka-compartmentalized. He used the same term, actually. It's very compartmentalized sa OVP. So you are affirming that now po?
Yusek Poa said,
The compartmentalized po yung OVP. Sometimes, what the left hand does, the right hand doesn't know. Parang what si Attorney Poa, while spokesperson, should be expected to know the ins and outs of the office, because precisely as spokesperson, he will be relaying this information to the public. When we were asking him, he said compartmentalized po. He does not know about confidential funds. So you now, as the Chief of Staff, you are now confirming ng OVP po, despite the hierarchy that we see in the official organization chart, napaka-compartmentalized pala po yung OVP.
yes, that is correct, Your Honor. I can only speak for my experience as the Chief of Staff. I cannot really speak for Attorney Poa, because there are certain areas in the OVP that I have no information on, or I cannot really have a direct hand on how it all operates. Your
So,
Honor.
Mr. Chair, in the operation of the OVP, rather than the usual hierarchy where it's a pyramid, where you have the large base with information or data or operations, which passes information upwards to select supervisors, upwards again to director level, ASEC, USEC, and finally to the VP. You're telling us now that the OVP operates in a hub and spoke type of situation, wherein the OVP is central and then direct na lang po siya to the different. For example, OVP direct kay spokesperson, direct kay Chief of Staff, direct kay Attorney Sanchez, for operating different clusters. And each cluster doesn't know what the other is doing.
I can only answer, Your Honor, on my role as the Chief of Staff.
Yes, sorry, and I'll just add to that point. No? And I understand you can only speak as the Chief of Staff, because what you're telling us now is that you have been compartmentalized only as the Chief of Staff. So now you're telling me, what I'm trying to present now, and if you would agree with that, is that the VP is very hands-on but treats you separately. So there's like I said, the hub and spoke, the VP is in the center, and she deals directly with Attorney Poa for other matters which you might not know, then directly with you for Chief of Staff of Operations for matters that only you know, directly to Attorney Sanchez for matters that only the finance would know, and you don't coordinate with each other.
There are cases, Your Honor, that is, in my experience, that is the case. For example, in the case of the spokesperson, it is not something that I am also privy to, the instructions for the OVP spokesperson. It happens, Your Honor, that way.
Thank you. I think this will be more, the compartmentalization of the OVP will be more relevant as we go on. But I'll just go
Okay.
back and focus on the SDOs. Thank you very much, Attorney Lopez.
Okay, thank
So
you.
yun po, we had an idea, although Attorney Sanchez mentioned that 3 persons were involved with the SDO, it seems to be narrowed down po, no? It looks to be, like with the DepEd, it's 2 people. We have SDO Gina Acosta and the head of agency, which is the Vice President. So para sa kalaman po ng lahat, yung joint circular, it dictates there that the SDO is personally tasked with the disbursement and liquidation of confidential funds. And the head of agency is personally tasked to oversee. So what Attorney Lopez has told us now, by excusing herself or by separating herself from the operations of the confidential fund, it now affirms what is in the joint circular. It is down to these 2 people. And in other words, yung SDO po yung inaatasan ng batas natin na humawak at siguraduhin mapunta ang confidential funds sa naayon na confidential expenses. So this is all in line with the circular. So since we have questions ideally for the SDO, but given that Ms. Acosta is not here, I'd like to ask these questions to Attorney Camora. Apologies, Attorney Camora. All roads lead to the COA, so I'll have to ask you in relation to the circular. So we are
Attorney
affirming
Camora,
po, no?
you are recognized.
We affirm po that with the joint circular, it's usually the SDO, it's only the SDO who is tasked with the disbursement of the confidential funds.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
To put more meat into this, we'd like to present po yung certification, if the Secretariat would be so kind as to flash it. The certifications for the OVP and the DepEd. Sorry, this is in relation to the certification for the confidential funds. I think we have one sample dated January 10, 2022. And for the DepEd, we have one sample dated March 31, 2023. There. So, Attorney Camora, to the Chair, most respectfully, ito po yung certification na sinasabi po natin. This is what is submitted together with the liquidation report. Is that correct?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And this is precisely provided under the joint circular.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
This is the exact language po, no? Is this an annex to the joint circular, or is there a format that is provided?
Yes, Mr. Chair. It's Annex B of the joint circular.
So as Annex B, even if the correct signatories are there, for example, it's signed by the SDO and signed by the head of agency and properly notarized, if it has been altered in any way that any of the provisions under the certification are different, di nyo po tatanggapin. It has to be worded precisely as Annex B provides. Tama po ba?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And it would require all of these signatures,
Yes,
such as
Mr.
the head of
Chair.
agency. So we take note po that that means that there are very specific things that are required to be certified as to be submitted with the liquidation report. And some of the things that stand out, it says here po, and I quote, incurred by the undersigned. So ibig sabihin po rito, it is the SDO that personally handles and disburses the money.
Yes, Mr.
That is
Chair.
basically the crux of the certification. And it just comes with other caveats.
Yes,
Like, for
Mr. Chair.
example, first, what is spent is in connection with the agency's intelligence and or confidential operations and activities. Is that correct?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And it also says that, two, it cannot be used for payment of salaries, wages, overtime, additional compensation, allowance, or other fringe benefits of officials and employees.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And third, that the expenditures are necessary and utilized for legal purposes.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
So this means that the SDO should personally know the disbursements and the expenses incurred, and that he should have personal knowledge of all of this. That is basically what the certification is saying.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And this, hand in hand with the liquidation reports, would affirm again the responsibility of the SDO to disperse the confidential fund in accordance with the provisions of the circular.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Since the SEO handles the fund personally, it necessarily follows that he gives the money. Is that correct? And I believe you answered this with Congresswoman Garin.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
You mentioned actually that there could be possibly multiple SDOs.
They could designate many SDOs.
From all of our agencies po and departments and GOCC would have CIF or IF, how many po would have only one SDO?
Actually, Mr. Chair, most have only one SDO. It is the agencies that have multiple SDOs that are fewer.
Okay, so mostly have one SDO.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And in that case, that SDO is the one in charge pa rin of paying, and it cannot be delegated further.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay. So, for example, if we have an informer, which is basically what the CIF is for now, if you have an informer who needs to be paid, it is the SDO who personally pays this to them.
That is the presumption.
That is the
based
presumption.
on the certification, Mr. Chair.
And based on the requirements of the circular, it cannot be delegated. So the presumption should be reality. No?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And that is the understanding of the COA.
Yes,
That it
Mr.
is them
Chair.
who personally handles it. And it is them who personally receives the acknowledgement receipt.
Yes,
Exactly.
Mr. Chair.
So the SDO cannot give it to another employee, for example, out of the 125 million, a specific, for example, compartmentalized daw, clustering. So ikaw sa rewards of medicine, ito, 20 million. And then siya na po yung in charge sa, ano, and then whatever ARs that delegated person would receive would pass it on to the SDO. That is not allowed under the circular.
Even if he or she does that, he or she is the one ultimately accountable for those funds based on his or her certification. So, it's under his responsibility pa rin po.
Yes. So basically, command responsibility siya pa rin. But if that were the
Yes,
case, that is not in line with the circular because it should be personally disbursed by the
Yes,
SDO.
Mr.
Correct.
Chair.
So we can't be too sure that the SDO, if it were the case that it were delegated, the SDO would not be able to certify it in such a manner. Because
Yes,
supposedly
Mr. Chair.
it's saying there that he's the one who actually dispersed the money.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay. And this is the same for payments of rewards. This is not just for the handling of funds in general. Even for
Yes,
payments of
Mr.
rewards and information, it goes the same way.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
The SDO gives payment directly to the recipient, and the recipient is supposed to give the AR or any DEPs that are in relation to that. Ms. Camora, Attorney Camora, so these acknowledgement receipts were submitted by the OVP and the DepEd to COA. This is the proof, this is the documentary evidence of payment that is required by the circular. And now we have that understanding that you've confirmed now that the SDO personally handles the same. So they handle the funds and they handle personally the DEPs.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
So if there's any doubt to the confidential funds, if there is any doubt at all to the DEPs, any doubts to the ARs, which have been hammered down in the last hearing and now in this hearing, this all points down to the SDO. This is their personal responsibility under the joint circular.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
So, for example, one of the things that we pointed out last time in relation to the dates, if there is any problem with the date of the AR, it should have passed to the SDO.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Because unlike, for example, in our usual po natin, Attorney Camora, let's say, in a usual transaction, pumunta ka sa mall, bumili ka ng pagkain, magbibigay ng resibo, you wouldn't pay a second thought on that OR because usually you don't have to liquidate it anywhere. It's just a piece of paper. But as an SDO in which you have a personal responsibility, nakataya pera mo pa rin kasi nakaband ka po to the treasury.
Yes, Mr.
So you
Chair.
would have to check and make sure that all of the ARs are accurate,
Yes, Mr. Chair.
including the date.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Since one of the responsibilities under the joint circular is to disburse the CF and IF in accordance with the provisions of the circular.
Yes. So in the circular, it requires an acknowledgement receipt, and an acknowledgement receipt would require the date. So the date having been filled in for the AR and received by the SDO has the responsibility to make sure that it is correct.
Yes, Mr. Chair, although the requirement is documentary evidence.
Documentary evidence.
payment.
So I'm sorry, but yes, the AR as the DEP
Yes,
would be
Mr. Chair.
required to have gone under scrutiny of the SDO. So if we had 158 ARs which have a supposed typographical error, shouldn't the SDO have caught on since they personally gave the money and received the receipt? He would check the receipt. Kung tama yung pangalan, may signature, tama yung purpose, and the date. So the 158 times na mali yung date, supposedly 158 times na dumaan po ito sa SDO.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. So with that, we'd like to ask the COA. I know we've asked this before already, but we're looking into the responsibility of the COA. You've already mentioned many times that the ICFA would only be concerned with the submission of the DEPs, and that you wouldn't look no further because generally parang ministerial na lang to a point. But should it have raised some red flags po? Especially now in hindsight, yung 158 with typographical errors ng dates.
Well, because of this our hearings here, we're kind of looking into this, that we should be a little stricter on our audit from now on. So
We understand po, no, you mentioned before that one of the limitations of your office is manpower. And I think
Yes,
one
Mr.
thing that the
Chair.
committee will be working on in aid of legislation is to strengthen po the COA, that you would have the proper manpower support to make sure that this does not happen again. I think
Yes.
that's one thing personally this representation would like to push forward for the consideration of the committee. But with that said, so I hope now the ICFA would take into special consideration not only the impossibility of typographical errors, the frequency of it occurring, the time span in which it happens. And of course, now, as mentioned by Congressman Adjong, we've seen earlier that there are problems even to the multiple names with different signatures. This should have raised a red flag. And of course, the bogus names that were raised by Congressman Acop, such as Mary Grace Piatos. So these are things that I hope that the ICFA would be more stringent with. But there's one more matter, aside from that, which we have brought up from the previous hearing, that I hope that you could consider. Upon studying po yung DEPs natin, and we already know that there's a question about the time span in which that it was dispersed. Alam natin, questionable yung 11 days, na 5 days pa nga po ay holiday, dispersed po ito lahat. But one more thing we have to consider, now that you have affirmed to us, now that we understand it better, na yung SDO is personally in charge of dispersing the funds, we collated po yung ating mga DEPs. And we've seen po, for example, this is, I think, the DepEd. So this would be by Mr. Fajardo. For the, I believe this is the first quarter of 2023, submitted on the 31st of March, there were disbursements every day po, no? Since the release of the cash. And that disbursements, they would not go less than 10 times a day po. If you could see po in the chart, this is what we've seen. You would notice that the ARs, it would say the address or location. This is one thing particularly with the DepEd. Aside from the name, the signature, and the date, meron pong locations. So, on February 21, 2023, or the very next day after the SDO encashed the 37.5 million in checks, lumabas po sa acknowledgement receipts that SDO Fajardo made 7 disbursements already. This is the day after, in 7 different locations. And the locations are Malolos, Davao, San Francisco, Agusan del Sur, Makati City, Negros Oriental, Negros Occidental, and Davao City. So the very next day, after, I would assume, the check was issued, it was encashed in Land Bank under the Shaw branch. Tama po ba for DepEd? Or
DepEd branch.
The DepEd branch. So the DepEd branch, that is in what city po here in NCR?
Pasig, sir.
In Pasig po na encash, and immediately the next day, he traveled to these 7 places and have these 7 ARs. Did this not raise a red flag of the impossibility of this occurring?
Well, it does, sir. Although during our review, somehow we just accepted the acknowledgement receipt.
For reasons you've already stated earlier po, no,
Yes
Attorney
po.
Camara. In addition to this, if you go to the day of the first quarter that had the most disbursements, which is March 15, 2023, SDO Fajardo supposedly made 26 disbursements in the following locations: Davao del Sur, Surigao del Sur, Oriental Mindoro, Laguna, Zamboanga del Sur, Cebu, Ifugao, Antique, Batanes, Pampanga, Legazpi, Lanao del Norte, Batangas, Tarlac, Metro Manila, Samar, Davao de Oro, Agusan del Norte, Davao del Sur, Davao de Oro, Laguna, Cavite, Surigao del Norte. Attorney Camora, let's give him a helicopter. I don't think he'll do that in one day. So it really raises a question. How did SDO Fajardo certify and say that he personally disbursed this? Buti na lang po yung DepEd ARs have location. So it really shows us kung saan po sila. Unlike the DepEd ARs, yung OVP po wala. Yung OVP would only have the name, the purpose, the name, the signature, and the date. That's it. And the amount. Pero here we could see in DepEd, it seems to be really impossibility. So you could see the theme, not really the theme po, no, but what we're driving at here. Earlier, according to Congresswoman Garin, and I understand her frustration, there is the physical impossibility of the delivery and encashment of the cash. The questions regarding that, surrounding where it was brought. And then now, even the physical impossibility of the disbursement. Yun naman po yung tanong dito. If truly SDO certifies that he or she is the only person and has personal knowledge of disbursement, has personal knowledge, has gone through the DEPs. How do we explain this? It looks like from north to south, tip to tip po nitong Pilipinas. By Batanes pa rin po. So these are just some of the questions that we have. And if we look at the chart earlier, it happens multiple times. For February 25, there were 21 disbursements across 18 different localities. February 27, 21 disbursements across 18 localities. March 3, and the list goes on. And if you notice the chart, every day po yun. Every day po may disbursement. So it really raises the question po, no?
Yes, Mr.
About
Chair.
the legal, the veracity of the certification. We're now seeing the consequences of our current format that we have, that a simple signature which the COA just blindly, not to fault you, again, we understand the reasons that you have, that you lack manpower and all that. But napakahirap po to because we're talking about the most difficult to account for, confidential intelligence funds po, no? So, if I may continue, Attorney Camora, and again, I understand frustration. I wanted to ask this to the SDO personally. I think they would have been able to answer. But on the light side na lang po, to make the most of the information that we have, at least on the side of the COA, that you'd understand the frustration of this committee, and that you'd understand po where we'd want to proceed with this. It goes the same with the OVP. If I may continue, Mr. Chair, the pattern of the OVP is that even if it does not have the locality or the address, the disbursements are really dubious and curious because it really makes use of these disbursements in a way that you would find it hard to believe. Just the number of disbursements given in the number of days, it really raises some questions po, no? Like, for example, on December 23rd of December of 2022, this is close as in relation to what Congressman Acop mentioned. There were a lot of holidays in those 11 days. And in fact, Noche Buena would have been the number one thing that people would be preparing for. But on the eve of Christmas, or the day before, when you would be preparing for the eve of Christmas, on December 23, at least 103 individuals received a total amount of 15 million pesos. I mean, just 15 million pesos for 103 individuals. If truly the SDO is certifying that personally I think this is SDO Acosta, she disbursed this, it really raises the question kung the possibility po, no, of how they did this. So, and this would include a bunch of things. No? It's very much payment of reward, payment of information, medicine. The safe houses were also included there. Given the various clusterings, if you would call it that, parang it leads to the, I would not say impossibility, the improbability of the AR submitted. So I think we really need a strict scrutiny po, no, of the DEPs that are being submitted. I'd
Yes,
just like to
Mr. Chair.
point out that based on this study, the days where the OVP gave confidential funds, over 100 recipients, all happened in 2022. And this is the time that had the 11-day period. So you could see na, I don't know if it's intentional, pero minadali po talaga. There was really quick disbursement. And in line with that, just one last question, Attorney Camora, and which was brought up by Congressman Acop. He was driving the point with Attorney Sanchez that you could obligate the confidential funds. If you don't consume, for example, because this is cash advance system, you advanced 125 for December of 2022, and you've only consumed, for example, 100 million. Does that mean mawawala na po yung 25 million, or does it carry on to the next quarters? Sorry, let's not do 2022 kasi last month na yun. Let's say for yung GAA provided na CIF. If in the first quarter of 125 million, na consume lang po is or what's justified is 100 million, what is the effect for the second quarter? Can they disburse 150 million, or are they limited still to the quarterly limit of 125?
Mr. Chair, the cash advances for the whole year. So as long as the cash advances are within the year and the last cash advance was liquidated, they could cash advance again for the next like quarter or the next quarter, since most of them do it quarterly.
So for example, on the 31st of March, I've consumed 100 and I justify with the liquidation report of 100 million. I still need to justify the 25 left, even beyond March 31. That would be allowed for the first quarter?
Can you repeat po?
Sorry. So yung first quarter po, meron tayong cash advance of
Yes, Mr.
125
Chair.
million. Ang nakonsumo lang po ng opisina ay 100 million lamang. may 25 million po na balance, does that mean I can still justify the 25 million after March 31?
No, Mr. Chair. If it has been cash advanced for that period and the amount that was unutilized should be returned by the SDO.
It should be returned to the SDO.
Yes,
Yung
Mr. Chair.
sinasabi po ni
Since yung
Congressman Ako,
liquidation po is yung buong amount po dapat.
but it could be obligated in that time. It doesn't have to be dispersed. You could obligate for the 25 million pa hindi naman return. I believe that was the point that Congressman Ako was making.
Pwede naman po
Pwede.
yata. As long as it is still within the year of the it's still within the year, so yung cash advance is still for the year.
Thank you, Attorney Comora. So yun lang po, just to manifest, it really drives the point that it seems to be, there are questions po with the timing and the accompanying DEPs, and I'm sure that we're still going to go back to this. There were other questions, but unfortunately, wala po yung ating SDO, so I'll have to hold on to that. Mr. Chair, with that, I'd yield to other interpellators. Maraming salamat po.
Just an interjection, Mr.
Yes,
Chair.
Congressman Franz Castro.
Yes, so excellent, no, yung pinakita nating pag-analyze nung utilization noong confidential funds in 2023 and even in 125 in 2022. The possibility, the improbability physically nung pagbabayad ng SDO nito doon sa mga binanggit natin na kung ito man ay reward or whatever or reward. So ano ngayon ang gagawin ng Mr. Chair? Gagawin ng COA doon na obvious na sa pag-analyze natin, even Attorney Camora, nagsasabi siya na parang imposible. Tama ba 'yon? In one date, in one day, in different places, magagawa ba ng SDO na pumunta para bayaran yung mga sinasabi natin na dapat na bayaran in a day? Sabi nyo kanina at sabi natin kanina, no, imposible. So that is yung sa pagre-review ninyo nung ipinasa ng mga acknowledgement receipt, etc. So Mr. Chair, ang tanong dito, kasi hindi lang tayo matatapos na ito na yung nangyari, parang nakakatawa na talaga eh. Ano yung SDO na yon, Mr. Chair? Lumipad mula sa isang lugar patungo sa isang lugar in eight places, lumipad. Kung siya lang talaga yung nagdi-disburse. So talagang parang pinapatawa tayo, no? Pinapatawa ang taong bayan ng Office of the Vice President na nagagawa ito. No? So ano ngayon ang gagawin ng COA? Are you still going to accept those acknowledgement receipt or those na mga disbursement na tingin natin ay panloloko lang, niloloko na tayo, 'di ba? Niloloko tayo, taong bayan. So anong gagawin po ng COA, Mr. Chair? Gusto kong malaman, are you going to i-review nyo ba ulit? Ibabalik nyo yan? Or kailangan nyo nang magdesisyon ngayon kung dapat yan na yung pondo na ito ay ibalik yan sa pondo ng taong bayan? So ano po yung pwedeng moving forward doon sa ipinisend po ni Representative Rog Gutierrez? Mr. Chair, anong gagawin ng COA doon?
Mr. Chair.
Attorney Camora.
Mr. Chair, actually we are thankful to the body for pointing this out to us, since for us naman po as auditors, we presume this as yung regular but since these things have been pointed out, I think we will be basing our reviews na based on what we have discussed here in this hearing. And as to the cases po ng sa OVP and DepEd, yung sa 2023 especially po, AOM pa lang po yung status nung audit actions namin, and under review pa rin po yung mga compliance nila. So we will take po in consideration lahat po ng napag-usapan natin and be more circumspect in our review. Although mahirap since yun nga po marami pong transactions, but moving onwards siguro po Yun. I-apply po namin lahat ng mga learnings namin dito sa hearings na to. Although mahirap po talaga.
Kahit na common sense, i-apply nyo dyan. No?
Um,
Kahit na common sense, attorney, Camora, i-apply nyo dyan.
Yes
No?
po.
Talagang imposible na talagang ito maaring ibinulsa, di ba? O maaring kung saan na napunta. Kaya imposible yung nangyari na sa isang araw pumunta ka sa iba't ibang probinsya para mag-disburse.
Yes, Mr.
No? Imposible
Chair.
'yon. At gamitin naman natin yung yung kahit na konsensya or kahit na common sense para diyan po. At gusto natin na dahil ito ay under review, sinasabi niyo hanggang kailan po Mr. Chair yung review nito?
Hindi pa po namin masabi, Mr. Chair, since ang mga involved po ay kasama po dito sa hearing madalas. So, we will try po as soon as, kung...
Okay, so Mr. Chair, no, I hope yung COA would be prudent enough, at saka talagang tignan nyo talaga kung paano ginagamit ng Office of the Vice President at saka ng DepEd before itong confidential funds. Thank
Yes,
you,
Mr.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chairman. Okay, with the indulgence of Congresswoman Luistro, the chair would like to recognize Senior Deputy Speaker Don Gonzales.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to address my question lang na three item lang kay Attorney Sulaika Lopez. Ma'am, who is your Assistant COS? Who is your Assistant Chief of Staff po, ma'am?
The Assistant Chief of Staff is Mr. Lemuel Ortonio, Your Honor, Mr. Chair.
Sino po ang pumipirma sa travel order ni tawag dito, si Lopez, si Ordoña? Yung nasa abroad, ano pangalan nun? Yung nasa,
Ako po
hindi,
yun.
yung si, pangalan nito? Si, sino nasa abroad? Hindi, sino pumipirma sa mga travel order ng office?
In the OVP, Your Honor, there is a delegation of authority. There are certain officials that I signed for in their travel authority. There are also other officials that Mr. Ortonio signs for.
No, who signed the travel authority pala of Gina Acosta?
Mr. Lemuel, no? In the travel authority shown to me, Your Honor, it is Mr. Lemuel Ortonio.
Okay. Number 2 question, ma'am. Kung if tama po, hindi po niyo pwedeng i-recall yung travel order ni Gina Acosta to attend the hearing as Chief of Staff, ma'am?
Anong date na kay Gina?
Ikaw ma'am, ang Chief of Staff, di ba?
Yes, that is correct. No, I was also asking Director Lin kung anong dates po siya yung covered ng travel authority. Okay. We will consider, Your Honor. We will consider.
No, you just answer my question, ma'am. If yes, you can recall the travel order of Miss Acosta, ma'am. You are the boss.
I was not the person, Your Honor, who issued the travel authority.
Precisely po. Precisely po.
Yes,
So
but we
meaning
will,
to say, if you cannot answer, they're not really using the travels. Umiiwas lang po sa pag-attend nitong hearing na to. Tama ho ba?
Your Honor, like I mentioned earlier, kakabalik ko lang ho. I will have to study and look into the matter.
Okay, I have 2 questions. Number 1, kung yes, you can recall the travel authority of Ma'am Gina Acosta. And number 2, kung hindi, iniiwasan lang po umattend dito sa ating hearing ng good government. Tama ho ba, Ms.
Your Honor, as to the earlier suggestion on your end to recall the travel authority, I will look into it, Your Honor, and consider. But as I mentioned earlier, kakabalik ko lang ho sa opisina, and the travel authority is not something that I saw and have gone through. Ngayon ko lang po nakita through the phone of Director Sanchez. But we will consider your Honor's recommendation.
Yes, please. Give me the date lang po kung kailan pinirmahan ng assistant COS nyo yung travel authority ni Gina Acosta.
Just a moment, please. Your Honor, the document indicates that it was signed November 14, 2024. Your Honor. Mr. Chair.
Saan po siya nagpunta, ma'am?
Si Ms. Gina Acosta po.
Opo.
Wait, just a moment. Can you please? Just a moment. All right, per travel order number 2024-1036, in the interest of public service, with Your Honor, I would like to read the entire travel order in toto. Gina F. Acosta is hereby authorized to travel on official business to continue the monitoring and facilitation of the preparations and rollout of OVP anniversary activities in various areas on November 18 to 22, 24. Then, while outside her official station, she's authorized to collect allowance for daily travel expenses, incur actual travel expenses in accordance with Executive Order Number 77/2019, chargeable against OVP funds, subject to existing budgeting, accounting, and auditing rules and regulations, including but not limited to the internal financial controls and spending guidelines. The date is November 14, 2024, Your Honor.
Attorney, ano trabaho po ng SDO? Di ba SDO po si Gina Acosta? If meaning SDO, siya ang disbursement officer ng OVP. Bakit siya ang umihikot regarding for the anniversary of the OVP?
Okay.
Meaning to say November 4, 18 to 22.
Okay.
Outside the country uto?
No, Your Honor. It is within the country. It is within the country. As regards to the question, earlier question, what is the work of Ms. Gina Acosta?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, may I know what is? Just a moment. What is? Okay. Your Honor, Ms. Gina Acosta is a Vice Presidential Officer 6, Staff 6 of the OVP. And as such, apart from being an SDO, she is also responsible for, she has also other tasks and functions, Your Honor.
So she's concurrent. So is staff 6 and then she's an SDO also. Concurrent siya. Office of the Vice President and then
I understand
SDO.
the SDO is a as a designation only, Your Honor. She is VPSO, that is her position title.
Okay, thank you. Pero ma'am, pwedeng ma-recall mo yung travel order niya para mag-attend siya sa next hearing si Ms. Gina Acosta.
Okay, we will consider, Your Honor, the recommendation.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you also.
Thank you.
Just point of clarification lang.
Yes,
Um,
DS.
Sorry,
Suarez.
with the indulgence of Congresswoman Luistro. Kailan po ba yung anniversary celebration?
The exact date for the OVP 89th anniversary, Your Honor, is November 15, last November 15. However, in celebration of that particular anniversary, we have actually, just a moment, month-long? Ilang weeks? Month-long series of activities, Your Honor, as confirmed by our Director for Operations.
So your anniversary is on the 15th.
November 15th, yes.
That was 5 days ago.
That is correct.
Correct, right?
Yes.
You knew about this hearing. When did we, Comsec, when was our last hearing? November 11. So that was 9 days ago. We're November 20 now.
Hmm.
So in between that time, it's impossible. It is humanely impossible for the second highest office in the land not to know about the hearing on good government. So, And you've already celebrated. You said the celebration was on the 15th.
That is
And
correct, Your
yes,
Honor.
and from what I understand, I think on a memo that was released by the Office of the Vice President, the celebrations are supposed to be simple. That is correct, right?
That is true, Your Honor.
So how can you have a simple celebration that would last a month?
Your Honor,
So
this-
you're saying you're celebrating the anniversary of an office from November 15 to December 15?
Your Honor, when we say celebration, we simply mean the rollout of projects and activities across the country, Your Honor, in our various satellite offices. In most cases, the Vice President will be present also to celebrate with the satellite offices.
Okay, yeah. So I
It is
understand.
simple, actually. It's a simple
Yeah,
program,
I
Your Honor.
understand that, but you know what? It's not a legitimate reason for number one. It's a special disbursement officer. An SDO doesn't supervise over events. I would expect the chief of staff to supervise over events. I would expect maybe an executive assistant to supervise over events. But why a special disbursement officer whose primary focus is money, finance, supervising over preparations for events? Is Gina Acosta an event specialist?
Your Honor, the Ms. Acosta's task as SDO is a designation on her end. Her position title is really Vice Presidential Staff Officer 6.
Hindi. Edward Fajardo, where is he? Is he also supervising celebrations? Ano ba to? Naging event specialist na ba tayo? Sunshine Fajardo, missing also. Is he also supervising events? Ano ba sila? Sila mag-MC ng event? Silang in charge sa physical preparations? Hindi ba kayang gawin ng mga satellite offices nyo yun? Nandito yung mga satellite offices nyo. Who's in charge of the satellite offices? Yeah. You cannot handle an anniversary preparation? It's yes or no. Can you handle an anniversary preparation? Can you handle the rollout of programs?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
There you go, Attorney Lopez. They can. They do it. Do you do it in a regular basis? Do you do it in a regular basis?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
So why supervise?
Again, for the record, Your Honor, I only saw the travel authorities
Anyway, yeah.
right
So,
now.
Mr. Chair,
can you just do me a favor, Attorney Lopez, with the indulgence of Congressman Gonzales? Tawagan mo nga. Sigurado naman akong sasagot sa iyo yan. Ikaw ang chief of staff eh.
I will just try to reach out, Your Honor.
I already asked her to do that a few minutes ago, Mr. Chair.
Huh?
I already asked her an hour ago to contact his the vice.
Baka
The
nasa
assistant,
ibang planeta eh. Anyway, so sorry for my statement.
Respectfully,
Congressman Gonzales.
respectfully, Your Honor, Mr. Chair, I can only really reach out if he does not want to get in touch or revert. I cannot force Mr. Ortonio. But I already texted him. Your Honor.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, sabi mo yung anniversary ng OVP is November 15 at sabi mo dun sa authority, letter of authority to travel is for the preparation of the OVP anniversary. So ang date po ng authority niya is November 18 to 22. Meaning to say, tapos na po yung anniversary bago nyo binigyan ng letter authority to travel. So kayo po nagsabi dito kanina, ang anniversary nyo is November 15. Pero ang reason is for the preparation of your OVP anniversary. Parang tapos na ho yung anniversary at binigyan nyo siya ng TA ng November 18 to 22.
Opo. Your Honor, For the record, the Office of the Vice President has 1 central office, 10 satellite offices, and 2 extension offices. There are a series also of activities happening in various locations, but it does not all happen in one day to give time to the Vice President to participate in the activities of the satellite offices. That is why, Your Honor, it was scheduled month-long. That is the reason.
Okay, thank you.
Respectfully.
Mr. Chair, one question only. May we,
Congressman Jill.
pwede ba malaman namin sa OVP kung sino yung official na in charge doon sa pag-book ng plane tickets also with the accommodation? Just to know the whereabouts of these officials, Mr. Chair.
I have no personal knowledge on this matter. Maybe the Director for Admin.
How about the other officials from the OVP?
Attorney Sanchez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, we have a travel arranger in the office under the procurement division. But she's only,
Ma'am, wala rin kayong alam. To cut the long story short.
no, Mr. Chair.
Wawa naman yung opisina nyo. Lahat hindi alam kung nasaan yung mga tao ninyo. Nagkaroon na yata kayo ng amnesia lahat. Ano pa nangyari sa opisina ninyo? Lahat walang alam. From the chief of staff down to the department head. Lahat hindi alam.
Mr. Chair, for
Or
the...
meron po kayong pinagtatakpan.
Mr. Chair, for flight bookings, Mr. Chair, there is a person assigned to flight bookings, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, I think that is procurement under her office, Mr. Chair. At Attorney Sanchez, can you not call that person now? I'll give you 5 minutes po.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chairman,
The chair would like to recognize Congressman Ino D.
may we also ask what exactly is the event that's currently happening today? Meron ba po tayong, I don't know if I missed it earlier, ma'am, that they have to attend to? Ano po ba yung event or program na ginagawa ngayong araw na ito na ina-attendan ng mga staff po ninyo?
Okay. Your Honor, for this question, may I refer you to our Director for Operations?
Okay.
No? Director Baloro, please, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, you're Mr. Norman Baloro.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, the programs for the month of November.
No, for today.
Yes,
for
this
today.
is for the OVP Thanksgiving ceremony, Your Honor.
Where, may idea po kayo, details of the event or the program?
For the event, Your Honor, it's somewhere in Caraga, Your Honor.
Somewhere in
Caraga.
Caraga? Wala po kayong exact venue or details of...
No, Your Honor, because we have also our satellite lead who is also assigned in Caraga, Your Honor.
Can we ask the head of the satellite offices? So, can you coordinate with them? Ano po ba yung exact program natin ngayong araw?
Si Miss Regina
Of course,
Tecton.
we just have to ask.
Sino po yung head
Kasi
ng
nga po, we're all
satellite?
confused. Ano, saan po yung mga taong ito? Ano po yung mga programa? Ngayon,
Maayong hapon kaninyong tanan. Mr. Chair, for today, the activity is in Caraga, I think in Hingoog, but the exact details will be under the satellite lead in Caraga.
do we have any coordination po with the satellite team in Caraga office, ma'am?
I will refer you to the Director of Operations because we are all under
Chair.
the
Mr. Chair,
operations.
just-
po.
may I-
If this
may I-
has
Ma'am.
Mr. Chairman, we cannot have a referral office. Lahat na lang ng tanong i-refer dito, i-refer dyan, i-refer dito. Wala ba kayong...
Pero ako po naso-surprise kasi yung director ng operation nandirito. Yung Special Project Division nandirito. Pero yung SDO, yun ang umiikot.
Mr. Chair,
Hindi ba dapat yung operation ang umiikot, hindi yung SDO?
Mr. Chair, may I
Yes,
interject?
Congressman
Just a very
Zia.
brief lang po. I think there seems to be a disconnect. Parang it's not only
hindi nagko-coordinate but disconnect. I think kayo po yung head ng operations, Mr. Baloro, di ba?
Mr. Chair.
I think, Mr. Chair, you should know because you're the central office eh. Di ba? Mga satellite offices, are you telling us that the satellite office work independently from yours or that they don't at least send to you? I presume that's a very important occasion or activity. So, I mean, a simple question asked by Congressman Ino D. You cannot even tell us the exact location. What program is this? I mean, you're supposed to know everything because these are satellite offices. Are you telling us that you don't care at all to even know the details? Kayo po yung sa central office eh. These are satellite offices. I mean, there seems to be a disconnect kasi nagtuturuan po kayo eh.
Isa lang po ang maliwanag dito eh. From Chief of Staff down to the Director, puro walang alam. Di parang may nagtatakipan po dito.
Mr. Chair, dagdag ko lang. So, kanina, Mr. Baloro, hindi mo alam kung saan eksakto sa Caraga ginaganap yung anniversary ninyo?
Mr. Chair, with regard to the places, because we have several locations for Caraga. So we have also our satellite leads who is now in charge with the identification of the location for the OVP anniversary in Caraga. Your Honor.
Okay, several, marami. Ano yung mga lugar na yun?
With regard to you, with honor, may I also have a time for me to call with our satellite lead?
Alam mo, nagloloko na tayo dito eh. Sa totoo lang, kung meron man nagtataka kung bakit nabawasan yung budget ng OVP, ito na yung dahilan eh.
Your
Kasi
Honor.
hindi nyo may paliwanag, simpleng activity ninyo. You can't even say for a certain fact kung nasaan. Sasabihin nyo maraming activities somewhere in Caraga, tapos hindi nyo man lang masabi kung saan. Anong klaseng celebration yun? Sobrang laki ba ng opisina ninyo na kaya nyong sabay-sabayin lahat ng barangay, lahat ng bayan sa Caraga region? Not unless, of course, you're making a mockery of this committee. Mr. Baloro.
Your Honor.
Hold on. Are you making mockery of this committee, Mr. Baloro?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, so if no, then treat us with respect. Where are you celebrating the activities of your celebration today? You are head.
Caraga, Your Honor.
Where there? Do you know how big the Caraga region is?
For my personal knowledge, Your Honor, no.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Your Honor.
Yes, Attorney Lopez.
Your Honor, Mr. Chair, respectfully, may I be given a minute, please, to just discuss and confer with Director Baloro, if that's all right.
Pwede niyo po bang tawagan ngayon si Miss Gina Acosta, speaker po ninyo?
Si
Ngayon po.
Miss Gina Acosta.
Miss Gina Acosta. Paki-speaker po nga po ninyo.
Mr. Chair, may I just add that
Yes,
for
Congresswoman
an event
Luistro.
as big as the anniversary of the office of the Vice President, I do not understand why the operations head is not knowledgeable about the place of the celebration and the matters connected thereto. And more so, Mr. Chair, it is a common practice that when one applies for a travel authority, it goes with the travel authority
the invitation or the program of the activity. Kayo po'y operations head. Wala man lang hubang program or invitation where we can make reference as to the place of the celebration and the officials who are supposed to be there other than the SDO.
Your Honor, for the 2024 Thanksgiving activities, Your Honor, I just learned that
Is it Thanksgiving or anniversary?
Thanksgiving anniversary. It's in line with the OVP anniversary, Your Honor. The title of our program, Your Honor, is Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving anniversary celebration of OVP. And
Thanksgiving activity,
and
Your
it
Honor.
ranges for 1 whole week.
Yes, Your Honor.
Can you please cite again the inclusive period for that celebration?
Yes, Your Honor, from after our event on November 15, that is the 89th anniversary of the OVP. Right after that, we have our scheduled for the OVP Thanksgiving activities for all the 10 satellite offices, Your Honor.
Sandali po, ang pinag-uusapan muna po natin is celebration today.
Today, Your Honor, is the OVP Thanksgiving in Caraga, Your Honor.
And where in Caraga is it being celebrated?
It is simultaneously celebrated in, I've learned now, Your Honor, in our 3 municipalities. It's one city, Your Honor, it's in Hingoog, Magallanes, and Butuan City, Your Honor.
And why did you not seek for an excuse when you are the operation head and you're supposed to be the first person who's to attend that celebration?
Your Honor, because I went to Panay and Negros Islands already, Your Honor, last week. This is in it's municipality of Malay and municipality of Macataw in Aklan. So the reason why, Your Honor, for me to have a rest, Your Honor, my time also in the central office to sign few documents with regard to the medical and burial assistance. So the reason why, Your Honor, I need also to...
And how about the program and the invitation which are supposed to justify the travel authority of your SDO?
Your Honor, with regard to the SDO, Your Honor, is I am the one who signing. I'm not the one who signed the document, Your Honor.
Yes, I understand, but as an operation head, you're supposed to receive as well, di ba? A copy of the program and the invitation, because you're the focal person in terms of field operation. Am I correct?
Yes, but Your Honor, with regard to
Hindi ka ba nila inimbita?
for Caraga, Your Honor,
As operation head, you're supposed to be invited. Tama po ba ako?
as part of my job, Your Honor.
I wish to see the copy of the invitation and the program. Would you like to produce them today?
Your Honor, with regard to my, Your Honor, with regard to my travel order, I'll provide the committee, Your Honor.
Which travel order are you referring to, Mr.?
For the schedules of the Thanksgiving activities, Your Honor.
What we are discussing today are the activities where the SDO is supposed to be present as provided in her travel authority. I do not understand why in her travel authority, the documents which are supposed to accompany them, the program and the invitation, were not mentioned by Attorney Zulaika and Attorney Sanchez.
Your Honor, I don't have the knowledge, Your Honor, with regard to the travel order of our SDO, Your Honor, because I am not the signing authority, Your
But
Honor.
do you have a knowledge in as far as the existence of this program and invitations are concerned?
With regard to the OVP Thanksgiving for Caraga, Your Honor, yes.
You have.
With regard to, Your Honor, with
Do you
regard
have
to
copies?
Thanksgiving.
Do you have copies?
With regard to the executive refer, Your Honor, I have.
Can you please share it to the committee? The invitation and the program for the Thanksgiving anniversary celebration in Caraga,
Yes, Your
where
Honor.
your SDO is supposed to be present.
With regard to the presence of our SDO, Your Honor, I cannot give you.
Because
with
that is the justification provided in the travel authority. So I suppose that he's there attending the activity.
Your Honor, I can only provide you, Your Honor, the executive brief of the program of the Thanksgiving in Caraga, Your Honor.
Mr. Chair, can we please direct our secretariat to solicit the copy of the program of activity as well as the invitation, Mr. Chair?
The Secretariat is requested to please get hold of the copy to Mr. Norman Baloro. Kasi yung Secretariat.
Mr.
Next
Chair,
page.
quickly lang po, if I may, I'll be allowed to interject with
Yes, Congressman
yes,
Sia.
with indulgence. I guess earlier, Mr. Chair, Congressman Flores requested our Sergeant at Arms to communicate, the issuance or the contempt order that we have just issued against certain individuals, and I guess SDO was part of among those individuals who recited in contempt. Did I hear it right, Mr. Toledo, Mr. Baloro, that you are currently today celebrating a Thanksgiving anniversary of the OVP, and probably these three areas andun si SDO?
Caraga, Your Honor.
Yes, in Caraga. Kasi yun po yung reason niya kung bakit hindi siya pumunta dito. And maybe if we can go back to the earlier motion of Congressman Flores, we can already communicate kung nandun siya, maybe as a Sergeant at Arms, so that they can issue already. And they can probably confirm whether si SDO ay nandun talaga sa Caragas para ma-secure natin siya. Mr. Chair.
The Secretariat is COMSEC.
Mr.
Maybe-
Baloro,
May
sorry.
we request the Sergeant at Arms? Where's the Sergeant at Arms? Pakitawag po.
So Baloro,
Yes,
paki-mention
please
lang po yung areas just learned just now, texted to you.
Your Honor, for the Caraga Satellite Office, Your Honor, for the Thanksgiving activities, we have simultaneously have the program for Hingoog, Magallanes, and Butuan City, Your Honor.
Oh, there you are, Mr. Chair. Hinguog,
Magallanes,
Magallanes,
Magallanes, and Butuan City, Your Honor.
and Butuan City. Okay.
Mr. Chair, can I just add?
Please continue.
Mr. Baloro, what is the activity tomorrow? Where?
For the activities tomorrow, Your Honor, this is still for confirmation because, however, to answer your question, is in Southern Mindanao Satellite Office, Your Honor.
What towns po?
This is somewhere in Marilog, Your Honor.
Marilog, that's Davao City.
Yes, Your Honor.
Oh, no other place?
With regard to the Thanksgiving for the
I
Southern...
mean, the programs that where supposedly Fajarda spouses and Acosta are to be supervising tomorrow.
For the program here, Your Honor, it is in Southern Mindanao Satellite Office in Marilog, Your Honor.
In Marilog. Okay, so if they will not be in Marilog tomorrow, meaning they will be absent from their function supposedly. They were sent there supposedly to help out in this particular activity, correct?
Your Honor, to be honest, I don't have really the knowledge with regard to the travel order of the SDO, Your Honor.
You just heard Attorney Lopez read it out to you, to all of us.
Your Honor, I only have the knowledge with regard to the activities
Okay.
under the operations.
Now, as
Your
the
Honor.
head of operations, supposedly, alam mo kung sino yung pupunta doon from your office to help out, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And then you heard Attorney Lopez say that these persons were issued travel authority by Attorney Ortonio to help out in these activities, correct?
I presume, Your Honor, their
You
presence
presume.
will be there.
So I also presume that they should be there tomorrow. Otherwise, they will be absent and they will not be doing the performance or they will not be performing their duties of which they were tasked to do. And of which they're saying that they're absent now because they're doing these functions. Correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So they should be there tomorrow.
I presume, Your Honor, their presence
Okay.
will be there tomorrow, Your
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. The Chair would like to recognize the next interpellator, the Honorable Jinky Luistro.
As a follow-through, Attorney Sulaika, ilan po ba ang key officials ng OVP? I'm referring to key officials only.
There are 5 key officials, Your Honor.
Can you please mention these 5 key officials?
The undersecretary,
Can you
uh,
please include the name?
oh, yes.
Assuming this position.
Yes, for number 1, the undersecretary, that is me, Zuleika Lopez. Our assistant secretary, Mr. Lemuel Ortonio. Our director for admin and finance services, that is Director Rosalyn Sanchez. Our director for operations, that is Mr. Norman Baloro. And our director for strategic management office, that is Attorney Sunshine Fajarda, Your Honor.
How important is this Thanksgiving anniversary celebration in Caraga? It's not even at the NCR. It does not even represent a regional representation because he made mention only of 3 specific LGUs. Why? Of all key officials. Bakit naman po sa dami ng opisyal ng OVP, ito pang matagal na pong iniimbita ng Good Government Committee na si SDO Gina Acosta at si Assistant Chief of Staff Ortonio ang nakaisip na mag-represent ng OVP sa Thanksgiving celebration?
Your Honor, I cannot answer that because, for one thing, I was not the one who issued the travel authority. For another, I cannot presume to understand or know of the wisdom of the person who actually signed it. So, therefore, I cannot really directly answer that question.
To continue,
Respectfully.
Attorney, it is not my intention to undermine the significance of those activities in Caraga. But we are thinking individuals here between defending the institution, the office of the OVP, and attending the Thanksgiving celebration in the 3 LGUs in LGU. Hypothetical lang po. Which do you think is more important?
Your Honor, every activity we roll out, whether it's in the NCR or in our satellite
Mr. Chair,
offices.
can we please direct our resource speaker to answer the question? This is a hypothetical question, Attorney Lopez.
Please
If you
answer
will be made
responsibly.
to choose, saan ho ba kayo pupunta? Sa hearing ng Good Government Committee, where you will be given the chance to defend the office pertaining to the issues surrounding it, particularly the utilization of confidential fund, or the Thanksgiving celebration in the 3 small LGUs of the Caraga region?
Your Honor, Mr. Chair, the decision to attend the committee hearing of this honorable committee is a personal one.
I understand, Mr. Chair, but this is a hypothetical question that is being raised to our resource speaker.
I can only answer for myself, Your Honor, and my decision was to attend today's hearing.
Thank you, Attorney Salaika. Now to proceed, Attorney. Tagasan po ba kayo? Where did you originate?
I was born in Davao City, ma'am.
Can you please enlighten us where in Davao at kailan po ba kayo pinanganak? At least the year.
Your 1974, Your Honor.
You were born 1974 in Davao City, and I
That's
understand you were appointed as city administrator for a long time of Davao City. May I ask, Attorney, kailan po ba yung first encounter ninyo with our Vice President?
My first encounter with the Vice President was really because of work, Your Honor.
In other words, hindi po kayo childhood friends, hindi po kayo classmates, you are not even friends prior to your appointment as city administrator. Tama po ba ako?
Your Honor, the Vice President was, I was an upper class of the Vice President in the College of Law of San Beda, Your Honor.
In other words, you were schoolmates during the law school years. Tama po?
We were schoolmates, but we were not, how do you call that, friends
Acquainted?
or acquainted.
So when did you become acquainted with each other?
When I took on the position of secretary to the Sanggunian, Your Honor.
When was this, Attorney Lopez?
I think 2007, Your Honor.
So this is prior to your appointment as city administrator.
That is correct, Your Honor.
You were first appointed as Sangguniang Bayan Secretary in 2007 before you were appointed as city administrator from 2010 until 2022. Is my data correct? Are my data correct?
There is a gap, Your Honor, because for a time, the Vice President was not the mayor.
Yes.
So just for, I think, 6 years. I was city admin for 6 years.
Let us go to your position as city administrator, Attorney Lopez. Ano po bang functions ng isang city administrator?
Your Honor, the city administrator, in my experience, we actually develop plans and programs on how to effectively and efficiently implement programs and projects that are initiated by the local chief executive. That's one. And then another would be the coordination with all the city department heads. In the case of Davao City being a highly urbanized city, I think we have around almost 40 city department heads, Your Honor. Not to mention, part of my task also is to chair and preside over various committees of the city, such as the Zoning Committee, Tourism Board, Davao City Investment and Promotion Committee, etc. Totaling also more than 30 committees. Apart from that, of course, the city administrator is also tasked with the delivery of administrative support services, particularly in times of disaster operations, notable of which is, for example, there's massive flooding, or in the case of COVID in 2019.
That is an ample function, Attorney Lopez. And in fact, our time allotted for committee hearing might not be enough for you to be able to share with us the so many functions of a municipal or city administrator. Am I correct?
Yes, Your
But
Honor.
I have some specific questions for you. As city administrator, do you recommend to the LCE the appointment of key officials?
Your Honor, in my experience, I never proposed a recommendation for key officials.
But do you believe that as a city administrator, you have the discretion, the power, the opportunity, the position to recommend people who deserves appointment as key official? With the ample function that you have shared to this committee, I believe yes.
Your Honor, perhaps prepare a short list for consideration, but I cannot really make that recommendation because that exercise belongs to the appointing authority. It's the
Yes,
local
but
chief
if the
executive.
appointing authority will be soliciting your position relative to the people who are supposed to be appointed for key positions, would you give your opinion concerning this matter?
Your Honor, in my experience as the city administrator of the Vice President, when she was then mayor, she never asked me for any particular person or name that she should consider.
How about in the execution of contract in behalf of the LGU? Do you give your legal opinion, especially considering that you are a lawyer?
Your Honor, in the city government of Davao, there is only one lawyer, and that is the city legal officer. So all contracts that are executed or performed or entered into are reviewed and given legal opinion by the city legal officer, Your
If
Honor.
there are occasions when the opinion of the legal officer is not in consonance with yours, don't you volunteer your opinion being the city administrator and a lawyer at the same time?
Your Honor, I can only confer really with the city legal But at the end of the day, it is the city legal who will make that final recommendation to the city mayor.
In
Or the local chief.
scheduling the LCE in very important meetings, do you give your opinion as well as to which meeting she should be giving priorities?
Your Honor, from the very beginning, that was very clear to us that we do not really involve ourselves in the appointments or the scheduling of our principal.
How about in
Then-
budget preparation, Attorney Lopez? Don't you give your insights about which item, which program needs bigger budget compared to the others?
In the preparation of the budget for the city government, Your Honor, what is being done is that the city department heads, all 42 of them, I think, more or less, make a presentation as to their priority programs.
Is it not that you are the one at the core, at the center of all these department heads, being the one representing the office of the LCE?
No, Your Honor, I sit in only as city administrator.
As
There
a
is
matter of
also
fact, as city administrator, you do help reconcile the budget of all the departments of the LGU. Tama po ba?
Your Honor, it really depends on for one, the presentation of all the projects and programs of all the city department heads. And then we make that presentation to the local chief executive. And then the local chief executive will decide which programs will be prioritized. We do not have
Do you mean to tell us that you do not recommend with respect to the programs which needs to be provided with budget?
Your Honor, my role really is that once there is an identification of a particular project, for example, may I be allowed, Your Honor, to give an example, just a short one, a brief one. For example, our collaboration with the National Museum of the Philippines for the establishment and construction of the National Museum of the Philippines in Davao City. All right. So this was an item that was proposed by some of the city department heads. So it is one of those projects that we presented to the local chief executive. And once she says that, yes, we will do this project and the timeline is set for this period, that is the time that I, as a city administrator, come in and start talking to key officials from the National Museum of the Philippines, draw the necessary legal documents that will document.
You wanted to tell us, Attorney Lopez, that the LCE approves first before you have the hand of being part of that program or
Yes,
activity. Is that what you wanted to tell us?
that is correct, Your Honor, because my role really as city
In all
admin,
matters concerning the office of the city of the mayor, you wanted to tell us nag-approve muna ang mayor bago ka umakto as city administrator?
that is correct, Your Honor, especially in projects such as
Attorney, if I may interrupt, that is quite hard to believe. Because as city administrator, you're supposed to check all the programs, all the concerns, all the decisions, all the matters that will be presented to the LCE before her decision. Is that not the real situation of a city administrator?
Your Honor, I can only speak from my experience working with the local chief executive.
If you are not giving these recommendations to the LCE, then who gives the recommendation?
Your Honor, in that example that I gave, that was an output of the briefing with the several city department heads. That is one of the programs and projects that was listed. These are projects that we prepare and report to the local chief executive for consideration.
Kanina po may binanggit kayong you're heading all the committees. Tama po ba yun?
I preside, Your Honor.
You also made mention about the different departments. What do you do with the different departments?
Coordination, Your Honor.
You coordinate with the different departments and you draft programs and do the implementation as well as the coordination with the rest of the departments of the LGU. Tama po ba yun?
Yes, Your Honor. For example, in the case that I mentioned earlier, ma'am, in that partnership with the National Museum of the Philippines, it has to be approved first that we will embark on that project before we actually proceed any further.
Are you aware that city administrator is oftentimes referred to as little mayor? Have you heard of that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes. Why do you think the position of, or the person, the city administrator, the municipal administrator, the provincial administrator are being referred to as little mayor?
Little Mayor, precisely, ma'am, because you are the go-to person of all city government, city department heads, and then sometimes you traffic the deliverables and the projects that are expected per city department head. In other words, Your Honor, my role really, I am not a city engineer. I am not a city veterinarian. But what I do is, if there is an issue on ASF that the local chief executive wants addressed, I coordinate with the city veterinarian who is actually the expert on that program. That is my role, Your Honor. It's purely, how do you say this? Ensuring that they are able to come up with their projects that they have proposed themselves and it is delivered at a certain timeline as they
You-
have committed to the mayor.
You are correct, Attorney Lopez, that the department heads are the experts on their respective field. But I wish to believe that before the mayors, the LCEs, take an action on whatever they are being presented, she is being presented, it always solicits for the green signal of the city administrator because you are expected to check the genuineness, the propriety, the veracity of all the concerns, programs, and projects which are being presented by the various department heads. Do you agree with me?
Your Honor, I speak from my experience. That is how it was done when I was city administrator for the local chief executive.
Do you mean to tell us, Attorney Solaika, that for the longest time, that is 2010 to 2013, and then 2016 to 2022, your
2016.
opinion and recommendation was never solicited by your LCE?
Maybe on matters, Your Honor, such as, for
That
example,
is quite hard to believe, Attorney Solaika, because otherwise, we will not be able to come up with this little mayor thing, which is being used to refer to the city administrator, if indeed walang kapangyarihan ang mga administrators. As a matter of fact, this representation used to be a municipal administrator.
Your Honor, Mr. Chair, respectfully, I can really just speak from my experience. That is the style that I was accustomed to under the local chief executive.
Kanina po may mga programs kayong nabanggit which you implement. Can you please cite some in brief?
Katulad po nung na-mention ko ng collaboration.
Just the title, Attorney.
The construction, Your Honor, and partnership with the National Museum of the Philippines for the establishment of one such branch in the city of Davao.
What else?
The high priority bus system, Your Honor, that we started during the term of Vice President Inday Sara, but it's still ongoing right now. The Davao-Samal Connector Bridge, which also we started with, but it is still ongoing, as well as the pending, among others, the pending waste to energy projects. One of those that was finished is the underground cabling.
Just give us a rundown. What these programs did you implement during those times? We are talking about 9 long years. You sitting as the city administrator.
Yes, Your Honor. These were projects that were proposed by the city department heads.
So can you please
During-
give us a rundown? Ano po ba yung mga programs na yun? 3 pa lang po yung binigay nyo. We're talking about 9 years here.
Another one would be another would be the Davao Bypass Road, which is a partnership with the JICA group. That
Parang
was
yung
also-
binabanggit nyo, ma'am, ay mga construction project. Tama po ba?
Meron din pong other activities, Your Honor. Of course, the celebration of all the festivals that happen in a year, which is tatlo, which is the Charter Day celebration, the Kadayawan Festival, the Pasko Fiesta, that one.
Do you mean to say, Attorney Sulaika, that among these programs coming from the various departments, you are partnering with the department head in terms of implementation?
Your Honor, the person responsible for the implementation really is the city department head. For
Sunod
example,
ko pong itatanong sa inyo, if you are not recommending, you are not suggesting, and then you will be telling me it is the department head who implements, ano pong ginagawa nyo as city administrator?
ma'am, I ensure that these projects happen
You
and
oversee.
are delivered on time.
And in overseeing, of course,
Or
you
schedule.
coordinate with the department heads. Tama po ba?
That is correct, Your
And you
Honor.
will agree with me also na lahat po ng programs na ito, we cannot implement them without the necessary budget. Tama po?
Yes, there is a budget for such.
And
It-
considering the length of time that you've been sitting as the city administrator of Davao City, you are well-versed pagdating po sa budget ng LGU. At least you are familiar with the budget of the LGU.
Familiar, yes. Not as familiar as, but as the finance cluster of the local
Because you said
government
you
would be-
coordinate. You coordinate with the different departments. Tapos sabi niyo po kanina, the budget preparation is being submitted by, the proposed budget are submitted by the different departments. So I suppose that in your coordination with the different departments, you are aware also of the budget of the LGU. Am I correct, Attorney?
For big ticket projects, Your Honor, yes, I am aware because they make the presentation, the city department heads.
What is that for?
For projects that similar to the ones I mentioned early on. Your
Yes,
Honor.
and I suppose that when the project has a very huge allocation, you will be aware as well. I want to be enlightened about the budget of Davao City during your time as city administrator 2010 to 2013, 2016 to 2022. Ito po'y na-flash na natin noon, and I want to share it again to the committee. Kindly flash the confidential budget of the Davao City. This is 2016 to 2022, Attorney Sulaika.
Mhm.
And apparently, in our previous hearings, we were able to show that among all the LGUs in the entire country, ang Davao City po ang nagkaroon ng pinakamalaki na confidential fund. Being the person who coordinate all the programs with all the focal persons and department heads. Can you please enlighten us? 2016 to 2022. Paano po ba natin na-utilize itong confidential fund na ito?
Your Honor, Mr. Chair,
Please
if I may,
continue.
yes, I appear here, Your Honor, pursuant to the subpoena that was issued me in line with the privileged speech of the Honorable Valeriano. It is in my capacity as the Undersecretary of the Office of the Vice President. I am not here, nor am I connected with the city administrator or city government of Davao. So I feel that I am not really competent to discuss budget concerns primarily because of course, with all due respect to the new city administrator and also the administration of the city government of Davao, Your Honor.
Mr. Chair, I wish to remind the resource speaker that the confidential fund which is being shown in the screen pertains to 2016 to 2022, the time when our resource speaker was the city administrator. Earlier, she explained a lot about coordination with the different departments concerning the program implementation. And I wish to believe that this confidential fund is part and parcel of some of the programs which they have implemented already in Davao City. So contrary to her manifestation, Mr. Chair, it is my humble opinion that she is in the best position to enlighten us. Saang programa po ba ginamit itong confidential fund na ito?
Your Honor, Mr. Chair, I mentioned earlier my role as city administrator. It is really to ensure the efficient and effective implementation of projects that are proposed by our city department heads and are approved by the local chief executive. I also mentioned, Your Honor, that part of my task is to coordinate with the city government departments, which are the various in various different areas: city budget, city engineer, city taxation, local city zoning, city planning. These are the operations part of running a local government, Your Honor, Mr. Chair. In my experience and in my term as the city administrator, I have no direct knowledge, no personal information as regards the confidential budget of the city government of Davao.
Mr. Chair, if
It is
the
not-
resource speaker is making a representation that he has no knowledge whatsoever about the program utilization where this confidential fund were spent, then who has knowledge over the utilization to which program of these confidential funds?
Your Honor, I can only speak for myself.
Mr. Chair,
On my end, Your Honor, respectfully, much as I want to give a definitive answer, I have no personal information as to the utilization, disbursement of the confidential funds.
Mr. Chair, I just find it strange na si Attorney Sulaika po, alam niya yung tungkol sa museum, alam niya yung JICA project, and yet she has no knowledge whatsoever with respect to the huge amount of confidential fund that is from 2016 to 2022. If we can share it again in the screen, ang laking pondo po nito. As a matter of fact, if we will be following the joint circular during that time, this is 30% of the Peace and Order Program of the LGU of Davao. Hindi ko po maintindihan why we've been hearing that Davao City is the most livable place to live, the most peaceful place in the Philippines, and yet mayroon pong ganito kalaking halaga ng confidential fund. So, considering, Mr. Chair, the ample function, authority, discretion of an administrator, anyone who is assuming the position of an administrator, I do not understand why Attorney Sulaika could not enlighten us, at least of what she knows, to which program these confidential funds were utilized. If I may read, Mr. Chair, 2016, this is 144 million. 2017, this is 293 million. 2018 is 420 million. 2019, 2020, 2021, and 2022, 460 million. I wish to believe, Mr. Chair, that after the LCE, after the mayor, the next person who is aware about the program implementation, which includes the budget utilization, is the city administrator. As admitted by the resource speaker, she's the one coordinating all the programs. She's the one coordinating with all the departments. How come she has no knowledge at all with these huge amounts of confidential fund which were utilized in Davao City from 2016 to 2022? That is a manifestation, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair.
Congressman Konghon.
Just a small question, Mr. Chair. In line of the questioning of Attorney Luistro, Congressman Luistro. Madam Zuleika Lopez, do you have an authority to sign checks nung mayor si VP Sara, si Mayor Sara?
Wala po.
Hindi ka pumipirma ng cheque? Hindi ka nabigyan ng authority na pumirma ng cheque?
I do not anymore recall, but I think I signed. It's a delegated authority to the assistant city administrators, but in the event that they are on leave or on official travel, ako yung nagiging isang signatory. But it is not a usual task that I perform.
So you sign checks? You sign checks?
Some, Your Honor.
Vouchers? Of course.
Din ba yung kadikat ng check? Yes, Your Honor. Only in instances
Including confidential funds? Of course.
No, Your Honor. As I mentioned earlier, respectfully, my role as city administrator is really, my task is confined to the operational.
Madam Sulweka, ano rin po ako, naging mayor po ako ng 7 taon. Usually po, isa sa mga responsibilidad ng chief of staff, sine-check po lahat ng voucher na pinipirmahan ng mayor. At usually po, ang administrator, pumipirma po ng mga vouchers, including confidential vouchers na confidential fund vouchers.
Your Honor, Mr. Chair, I am not the chief of staff. I was the city administrator.
Or the more reason why na
the
ikaw ay
local-
pumipirma.
Yes, Your Honor. The local chief executive has another and a person in a chief of staff of the city mayor's office. I am not that person.
But
So
you
for documents, I would assume that before it gets to the city mayor, there is a person who will review it for the city mayor's office.
But you signed vouchers of the local government unit of Davao?
Only in instances, Your Honor, that the person assigned or tasked with that function is on official business or not present.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Chair, I find
Yes,
it strange
Congresswoman
that
Luistro.
Attorney Lopez is claiming that she signs vouchers only on official business.
No.
But that's what you said.
No, Your Honor, meron kasi pong taong na-delegate yung authority to sign for checks like payroll, etc. Merong pong taong yun.
When you say official business, Attorney Silaika, does that not include the utilization of confidential fund?
Again, Your Honor, I can only speak for my experience. I cannot speak for how it is in other local government units. I cannot. It is only from where I come from. I was city administrator for all of 9 years. All of 9 years, Your Honor. And my task really was to handle and ensure that all the projects, all the infra, all the other collaborations and projects that we have planned for the city government of Davao is implemented according to schedule.
So,
That has
Ma'am-
always
Lopez.
been my role.
Ma'am, as city administrator of Davao,
Yes, Your Honor.
you are saying that you do not sign checks. Is that correct? As city administrator of Davao for the past, ilang years po ba yun? 6 or 9 years?
9 years.
9 years.
9 years. You do not, you have nothing to do with the checks. Wala po kayong pinipirmahan? No, just answer yes or no. May pinipirmahan po ba kayong cheque o wala as city administrator?
Merong mga instances na napipirma ako, Your Honor. Because
Hindi po ba part ng trabaho niyo yan as city ad? Na
Hindi.
signatory kayo ng
I have,
cheque?
Your Honor, as city administrator, meron pong 2 pang assistant city admin who is tasked with the...
Okay. Yung tanong po kasi nila, bilang city ad, kayo po ba ay isa sa mga signatory sa cheque referring to confidential fund?
Your Honor, I have no personal information
Hindi,
or knowledge.
no.
None.
So, ni isa po, wala po kayong pinirmahan
Wala po.
na confidential fund. Yun lang po yung
Wala
ating tanong nila. Tama po? Wala?
Wala po.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, to substantiate the representation that was given to us by Attorney Salaiga, may I ask if she will be generous enough to share the vouchers which she signed during her time as city administrator?
Your Honor, I cannot anymore recall. And I feel that I am not, I do not have that information right now, so I cannot really share this information, if ever.
To continue, Mr. Chair,
Please continue, Congresswoman Luistro.
I understand, Attorney Salaiga, that in 2022, you were one of the 4 officials from Davao City who were brought to the OVP by the Vice President. Tama po ba?
That not brought, but we applied. Sumama po kami.
All right. You applied and you were admitted to the office of the Vice President. Am I correct?
Yes.
That is actually the pronouncement that was made by the Vice President. 4 high-ranking Davao City Hall officials have joined the OVP. That was her press statement. Can you please enlighten us? Sino po ba itong 4 na ito?
The other one, the second one is Mr. Lemuel Ortonio.
The one who did not attend the hearing.
And the third, I do not anymore recall, Your Honor.
Attorney, 4 kayo, hindi mo pa maalala.
Okay, Miss Jean Rose Texon. Sorry, forgot you. Sorry. It's Miss
May we
Jean.
know the position of Miss Jean?
I was the city tourism officer of Davao City.
And in OVP, you are?
I'm
What
the
position?
satellite lead of the Southern Mindanao Satellite Office.
Satellite lead.
Yes, ma'am.
Who's the 4th official, attorney?
Your Honor, the one, Miss Carla Echavia, in charge of the appointments team. of
I
the
recall,
Vice
Attorney Salaika, that during the last hearing, you failed to attend. Tama po? And you gave your explanation already kanina. It was a medical emergency in United States. Tama po ba?
Yes, Your Honor.
I watched the press con of the Vice President, and she was very explicit about saying that she gave her authority, her travel authority to you.
She gave me authority to travel.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. But she did not make mention about the rest of the OVP officials who were not able to attend during the last hearing. Is it correct to assume that kayo po ay very close sa ating Vice Presidente? Reason why she really takes the initiative of justifying your absence, your travel during the last hearing?
Your Honor, my proximity to the Vice President or to the principal is really because I am the Chief of Staff. And then I report to her on updates on the operations that happen on ground. So,
Why do you think she did not justify the absence of Gina Acosta,
I,
of Ortonio, Sunshine Fajarda, Edwin Fajarda? Bakit po kaya among all these officials, tanging kayo lang ang ginustify niya because of the travel authority that she issued in your favor?
Your Honor, Mr. Chair, I cannot presume to answer for the Vice President. She may have her reasons. But I filed the necessary request because it was a medical emergency. That's why I had to leave immediately that very same day.
Of course, you, attorney, you understand that this is the 6th hearing already.
Yes, Your Honor.
May I know if you watched the previous hearings?
Hindi po lahat.
Or at least you heard about what happened during the previous hearings?
Are we talking about the hearing, ma'am, last? Hindi ko na po na
The last
nasundan.
5 hearings. If you didn't watch the last 5 hearings, at least you've heard about the salient developments that went through during those last hearings.
Yes, I have heard some. Yes.
Of course, because this involves the OVP and the
Correct.
DepEd. Tama
Correct.
po ba?
Yes. I have
Do
heard
you
some.
know Yusek Mercado?
She used to be with the Department of Education, Your Honor.
That's what we understand as well. And you are with the Office of the Vice President.
That is correct, Your Honor.
Were there occasions when you also joined the operation or program implementation of the DepEd?
No, Your Honor.
Were there occasions that you meet with the officials of the DepEd?
All operational concerns that are brought to the Office of the Vice President, because at the same time, she was also then the Secretary of Education, are matters we refer to USEC POA when
I
he
understand.
was...
But the question is about you, Attorney Zulaika. Mayroon ho bang mga pagkakataon na pumunta kayo doon sa DepEd para makiisa sa mga program implementation?
The only instances, Your Honor, that the Office of the Vice President were in DepEd were for instances when the Vice President receives courtesy calls in the bulwagan ng edukasyon.
Were there occasions when you joined the meeting of the key officials of DepEd?
No, Your Honor.
Were there occasions that you represented the Vice President in the official functions in the Department of Education?
No, Your Honor.
None at all.
None.
In one of those hearings, Attorney Zulaika, Yusek Mercado testified that she was asked to allow this negotiated procurement of the department computerization program budget. And she refused. And after some time, you asked her to resign. The reason why you asked her to resign is because she refused to conform to the negotiated procurement of the department's computerization program. Can you please enlighten us on this?
Your Honor, Mr. Chair, I was instructed by the Vice President to call Yusek Mercado and tell her that the principal has lost her trust and confidence in
Sabi
her.
niyo po kanina, hindi po kayo nakikialam sa DepEd, di po ba?
Your Honor, that was just an isolated incident. In this case, ginagawa ko po lang yung trabaho ko because the Vice President was also the Secretary of Education. And in that instance, she said that I was to be the one to advise Ma'am Gloria that the principal has already lost her trust and confidence in Ms. Mercado for certain reasons, and that it cannot be Mr. Poa who will handle it, because to prevent friction among senior officials in the Department of Education. That the thought being, if it were Mr. Poa who will be the one to say that to Ma'am Gloria, it might create unnecessary friction in the working relationship of the senior officials of the Department of Education, Your Honor.
But
And
at least, Attorney Salaika, you confirm that you were the one who asked Yusek Mercado to resign.
Yes,
from
I was
DepEd.
instructed by the Vice President to do so.
In your capacity as a lawyer, Attorney Salaika, do you believe that you have a legal basis to do that?
Your Honor,
Yes or no, Attorney?
yes, I had legal basis to do that.
Why?
Because,
Your
Your Honor,
office is with the OVP, and the person you're asking to resign is with the DepEd.
Your Honor, as
Because if you
I
will
am the-
be claiming that you have the legal basis to do that, then the people in the DepEd has the legal basis also to meddle in the operation and separation of employees of the OVP.
Your Honor, Mr. Chair, for the record, this is an isolated incident. It was an instruction given to me by my principal, and at the same time, my principal was also the Secretary of Education. So it was a task that I simply did, which was to advise Ms. Mercado that given that the principal, to advise her that the principal has lost her trust and confidence in her, and then to please submit a letter of resignation. That was a task I had to do. I did, Your Honor. Ginawa ko lang po
Will
yung
you
trabaho ko.
welcome Attorney Sulaika, the DepEd official, coming into the office of the Vice President, meddling on the operation of the OVP? Would you welcome that? Yes or no? I believe no.
Again, Your Honor, Mr. Chair, it was really an isolated incident where I was instructed by the Vice President, who was also the Secretary of Education during that time.
Attorney, please enlighten us. Walk us through. Kwento niyo po sa amin. Paano po nangyari itong pagkikita ninyo at pag-uusap ninyo ni Yusek Mercado?
I was instructed first by the Vice President to call on Mr. Mercado.
Kailan po yan?
Ay, hindi ko na po maalala.
At least the year and the month.
I think last year, Your Honor.
Last year, this is 2023. Anong buwan ho ba ito?
I am sorry, Your Honor, I cannot anymore recall. But it
First
was not this
quarter,
year.
second quarter?
I cannot anymore recall.
You
Your
should
Honor.
have remembered this because you are asking a high-ranking DepEd official to resign. This is something which is very remarkable.
Your Honor, Mr. Chair, it was,
Please continue.
thank you, it was really a task that was given to me, which I performed.
Yes, but please walk us through. Paano, kailan nangyari po itong pag-uusap niyong ito ni Yusek Mercado?
Hindi ko na po maalala yung time, ma'am. Or yung buwan o yung period.
Saan po kayo nag-usap?
Pinatawag po namin siya sa Office of the Vice President, Central Office.
And then,
Uh,
did you personally call her?
No, Your Honor.
So who called Yusek Mercado?
Mr. Lemuel Ortonio, I understand.
Mr. Lemuel Ortonio. And then, what happened?
Then she came to the office, Your Honor, and then we sat with her and then told her
When you
about-
said we, who are among those
Mr.
who
Lemuel
talked with him?
Ortonio.
The three of you.
Yes.
Just the three of you.
That is correct.
And how did the conversation start?
Sinabi po namin sa kanya na the reason that she's called there, and then we told her that we were instructed, we were operating on the instruction of the Vice President, who was also the Secretary of Education that time. We told her that the principal has lost her trust and confidence sa kanya, and for
Would you know, Attorney Sulaika, kung gaano na katagal na nagtratrabaho si Yusek Mercado sa DepEd when this incident happened?
I would assume, Your Honor, that she has been working with the government for quite some time.
Like 40 years, 30 years?
Maybe, yes.
And you will agree with me that this is a very serious thing, asking somebody to resign, somebody who has rendered service in the government for more than 30 years already. Tama po ba?
Your Honor, Mr. Chair, this is not to also belittle the credentials of Yusek Mercado. It is not. But the reason that I was instructed to tell her that the principal has lost her trust and confidence in her already, Your Honor. So, yun lang po yung sinabi ko at yun lang po
Attorney,
yung-
you are a lawyer. It is fundamental upon us to follow due process. Did you accord Yusek Mercado the fundamental right to due process?
I told her the reasons why, Your Honor.
Yes, did you give her ample opportunity to explain her side?
Yes, Yusek Mercado explained, but I told her that I was not the person that she was to talk to because I am not part of DepEd. I told her to take these concerns to the Chief of Staff or the Office of the Secretary in the Department of Education.
Medyo unfair po yan, Attorney Sulaika. When you will be advising Yusek Mercado that she has to tender her courtesy resignation, you will be claiming that that is an instruction coming from your principal. And now that Attorney Sulaika is trying to explain
Attorney
herself,
Mercado. Attorney
Yusek
Mercado.
Mercado is trying to explain herself, you will be telling her that you do not belong to DepEd.
I listened to her, Your Honor. I did. I listened to her. But at the end of the day, I cannot make that decision because I am not with the Department of Education.
Of course, you understand the theory of constructive dismissal. Do you? You do. Because we are lawyers. Please enlighten the committee. What is constructive dismissal?
Your Honor, Mr. Chair. What I did was really in pursuance of the instruction of the Vice
Mr.
President.
Chair, can we please direct our resource speaker to be responsive to the question?
Attorney Sulaika,
Yes,
I
Mr.
understand that you have back problem. Would you like me to declare 1 minute suspension?
Thank you.
1 minute
Thank you.
suspension is declared by the chair.
I appreciate that, Your Honor.
Pinapapahinga ng bank.
Session resumes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, just quick.
Deputy
I-
Speaker,
I just couldn't help but
JJ
notice. Attorney Zulaika, can I just ask the identity of that person you were conferring with while we were at recess?
Mr. Attorney Lito Go, Your Honor.
Yeah, what he serves what purpose?
Your Honor, in the subpoena, I was allowed and afforded counsel.
Okay. No, I'm not denying you of that right. My question is, have they entered their appearance into the committee?
Comsec, would you please enlighten us?
Not yet, Your Honor, although they were also present here in the previous hearing of November 11, Your Honor.
What do the rules of the committee dictate, Comsec?
At this entry of appearance, Your Honor, for counsels, even in our previous meetings, it was done, Your Honor.
Okay, so to the lawyers, will you enter your appearance?
Entry na lang, sir. Entry. Verbal. Ako, verbal na lang. Okay lang.
Mr. Chair, I am Attorney Lito A. Go Jr., respectfully appearing before Attorney Zolaika Lopez, Mr. Kelvin Teñido, and Ms. Edeline Rabago.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much, Attorney Go. And yes.
Good afternoon, Your Honors, Mr. Chair. I am Attorney Anel Martin Antero. I represent Attorney Lynn Sanchez and Ms. Julieta Avila del Rey, as well as Dr. Sarongon, Ms. Regina Texon, and Director Norman Baloron, Your Honors.
And they have availed of your services in their private capacity, is that correct?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And also for Attorney Go?
Yes, Your Honor, that is confirmed.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
That's it, just for procedural matters. Thank you very much.
May we remind both councils that the participation of the legal councils is limited only to advising your client of their legal rights. Yun lang po ang pwede ninyong gawin, okay?
And also for other resource persons, kung meron po kayong abogado, mas maganda na ipakilala nyo na kaagad yung abogado ninyo bago tayo mag-umpisa para lang hindi tayo magkaroon ng aberya o problema habang tumatakbo tayo. Kasi iniiwasan po natin yung sa kalagitnaan sa kanyo lang ipapakilala yung mga abogado ninyo. Procedural matter lang po namin sa committee niya. Maraming salamat. Thank you very much, Attorney.
Thank you po. You may proceed, Honorable Chingy Luistro.
Mr. Chair, we are asking for the enlightenment of Attorney Zulaika with respect to constructive dismissal.
Yes, Attorney Lopez, please.
Yes, Your Honor, Mr. Chair. From what I recall, constructive dismissal happens when an employee is forced to resign under certain circumstances. In the case of Yusek Mercado, she has the rank of undersecretary, and she serves at the pleasure of the appointing authority. So, given that the principal has lost her trust and confidence, then we can also ask for her to resign.
To add, Mr. Chair, by constructive dismissal, you are placed in a situation where you have no other option but to resign. I understand that Yusek Mercado is occupying a position of confidence. However, Attorney Zulaika, you will agree with me that the requirements of due process, notice and hearing are fundamental. Did you follow the requirements of due process before you asked Yusek Mercado to resign? I believe that the question is answerable by yes or no.
I informed her, Your Honor, of the reasons why. She also
Did you
explained.
follow the requirements of due process before you ask her to resign?
Please be responsive.
Yes, I followed the due process
If you
procedure, Your
did,
Honor.
mayroon ho ba kayong pwedeng i-present na notice of hearing where she can explain herself?
What, Your Honor, if I may explain, in that isolated incident, I asked her, I told her the reasons why the principal has already lost her trust and confidence, and she did, which I think is a minimum, qualifies really as a due process. For what reasons were she being let go of? And then she also explained her side. She was given a chance to explain her side.
Mr. Chair, if Attorney Zalaika is maintaining the position that she followed the requirements of due process, question number 1, did you give her a copy of the complaint? Yes or no? No. Did you set a hearing for her? Yes or no?
No, Your Honor.
3, did you come up with a resolution on the issue that is being charged against her? Yes or no?
No,
I
Your
believe
Honor.
no. And therefore, you did not follow the requirements of due process. Mr. Chair, I wish to proceed. Attorney
Please proceed.
Zulaika, who decides on the amount to be disbursed? To guide you, we are leading to the confidential fund of the OVP. Sino po ba ang nagde-decide when it comes to disbursement? And may I request the Secretary to please flash the disbursement voucher. I wish to believe that at least you're aware of this, being the Chief of Staff of the Office of the Vice President. Can you please enlighten us, Attorney Zalaika? Who decides? Sino po ba ang may call pagdating sa amount to be disbursed? With respect especially to the confidential fund of the OVP.
Your Honor, I have no personal knowledge of this DV because it never passed through me.
Saan po ba kayo nag-opisina, Attorney Zalaika? Do you share the same office with the Vice President?
Yes.
Yes?
That is correct.
So, can you please walk us through? Ano ho bang itsura ng opisina nyo? Nasaan po ba ang lamesa nyo in comparison to the table of the Vice President?
Your Honor, the Vice President is not in the office 7 days a week or 5 days in a work week, Your Honor.
In other words, sino po ang nagdadala ng mga disbursement voucher sa ating Vice President?
I think, ma'am, the question is best directed to the Director for Finance and Admin.
Hindi po ba kayo ang nagdadala ng
Hin-
disbursement voucher?
Hindi po, Your Honor.
But at least can you confirm to us that with the signature of the Vice President affixed in the disbursement voucher, he's the one, she's the one who has the call in terms of disbursement? Yes.
Your Honor, I have no personal knowledge, so I am not the best person to answer the
You've
question.
been with the President since,
The Vice President.
with the Vice President since her time as Mayor of Davao. That is 2010. Tama po?
Yes.
And you're very much familiar with her signature. Tama po? You're very much familiar with her signature. I am asking you, ma'am, if having worked for the Vice President since 2010, you're very much familiar with her signature?
Yes, Your Honor, but
And would you confirm that the signature affixed in the disbursement voucher is the signature of the Vice President?
Your Honor, May I know if this disbursement voucher came from the OVP?
Maybe we can ask the COA to confirm if this is part of the documents of the OVP. Attorney Camora?
Attorney Camora, you are recognized.
This is the one submitted to them.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
With that confirmation, would you confirm that the signature belongs to the Vice President?
Your Honor, Mr. Chair, if these were the documents submitted to the Commission on Audit, may I know, if these were the documents, then that would be the signature of the Vice President.
And it is because of this disbursement voucher that the succeeding slide, the check was issued in favor of Gina F. Acosta. Would you confirm that? Attorney Salaika? Paki-zoom po nung check. Secretariat, kindly zoom the check. The next slide, please. This one is the voucher. You confirm, Attorney Salaika, that because of the disbursement voucher signed by the Vice President, this check was issued in the name of Gina F. Acosta.
Your Honor, Mr. Chair, I have no personal knowledge as regards this one because it never really passed through me. It is signed, I understand, by Director Sanchez and Mr. Ortonio.
Hypothetical tayo, Attorney Salaika. Kapag nag-i-issue ng voucher, anong kasunod?
Check, Your
Check,
Honor.
without specific reference to this check. And then let's go to the utilization of confidential funds. Secretariat, kindly flash the accomplishment report. Dito po sa accomplishment report, naka-itemize ang expenditures from the 125 million spent on the last quarter of 2022. Ito po yung ginastos in 11 days. Can you please enlighten us? Sino ho ba ang nagdi-determine nitong mga information na bibilhin?
Your Honor, I have no personal knowledge as to the disbursement or utilization of the confidential funds. My job and my role really in the Office of the Vice President is confined to certain areas, primarily operations.
How about with respect to the payment of reward? Who determines who will be given reward?
I have no information as regards that, Your Honor, because these are documents that they really did not pass through me.
How about with respect to the rental of other incidental expenses relative to the maintenance of safe houses? Who determines this?
Hindi ko po alam, Your Honor.
Hindi nyo rin po alam. The purchase of supplies. Sino po ba naglilista ng mga bibiling supplies?
Your Honor, I have no personal knowledge.
Next, the provision of medical and food aid. Who determines who will be the beneficiaries of this medical and food aid?
Your Honor, as mentioned earlier, Mr. Chair, these are documents that did not pass through the Office of the Chief of Staff. So I really have no
The
personal...
question, Attorney Sulaika, is no longer on the documents, but the purchases, the expenditures that are mentioned in the document.
I have no information on that, Your Honor.
The last item, Attorney Sulaika, payment of incentives or traveling relative to the confidential operation. Who determines this?
I have no information, Your Honor.
In the previous hearings, Attorney Sulaika, General Mempin testified. And he said he has no knowledge about this. You are the Chief of Staff, and now you're saying also You have no knowledge about this. The question is, who has knowledge about the utilization of this confidential fund?
Your Honor, Mr. Chair, I can only really answer for myself. These are documents that did not pass through me, so I have no personal information as to, I am not privy to this kind of information, Your Honor. So
Mr.
I
Chair.
cannot answer.
Mr. Chair, I do
Your
not want to
Honor.
sound repetitive, but it is really unbelievable for a chief of staff to have known nothing about the utilization of the huge amount of 125 million, not even one of the several items that was mentioned in the accomplishment report. And the question that is left unanswered, kung hindi ito alam, this is OVP, ni Yusek Mempin. Kung hindi ito alam ni Attorney Zulaika, sino pong nakakaalam nito, Attorney?
Your Honor, I do not presume to know the answer because, again, these are documents that really did not pass through my office. There are certain areas in the Office of the Vice President that I am not really privy to. There is information that I am not privy to. So I cannot give you a definitive answer. Respectfully, Your Honor, much as I want to give a definitive answer, these are matters that are information that are not available to me. Mr. Chair.
Attorney, I want to go back to the issue on Yusek Mercado. Sabi niyo po kanina, isolated occasion ito?
Yes, isolated incident.
During the time that she gave her testimony, she made mention that there are 5 other DepEd officials whom you advise to resign.
That is correct, Your Honor. I was also instructed by the
In
Vice
other words, this is
President.
not an isolated occasion.
It's a task, Your Honor, that I do not do as Chief of Staff on a regular basis. That is what I meant. These were instructions that were given to me by the principal, primarily because she said that it cannot be Michael Poa who will handle it because it will already create friction among senior officials in the Department of Education. It was a task that she gave me, which I fulfilled and did, Your Honor.
I just want to remind you, Attorney Zulaika, of your initial statement, that there was never an occasion that you meddled with the operation, program, or project of the Department of Education. And then we made mention about Yusek Mercado. You said that this is an isolated occasion.
Yeah.
Now you admit that there are 5 other DepEd officials whom you advised to resign. Do you honestly believe na kung 6 na sila, isolated pa yan?
When I say isolated, ma'am, I use the term in a manner that it is not something I do regularly. It is only upon instruction of the Vice President, Your Honor, Mr. Chair, because she was also at that time the department secretary.
Can you please enlighten us? Who are these 5 other DepEd officials whom you advised to resign?
I think, Your Honor, 4 lang po sila.
And the 5th is Yusek Mercado?
No. I think the 4th is Miss Mercado, Ma'am Mercado. Mr. Ablan. Mr. I forget his name. I think Mr. Arnuco. Mr.
Come again?
Arnuco.
Arnuco.
Mr. Arnuco. And the head for legal, I forget his name. I think Attorney
He's a lawyer.
Attorney Brady.
I wonder what made you ask him to resign. Is he the legal head?
During that time, yes, I think, because he had the rank of USEC, I understand.
And the fourth is Yusek Mercado.
Yes.
Can you please state in brief, what is the reason for asking Ablan to resign?
That one, I think it is still the same, Your Honor, loss of trust and confidence.
Arnuco, the same?
Yes.
Attorney Bradit, the same?
Yes, Your Honor.
And Yusek Mercado, the same?
Yes.
Loss of trust and confidence. This notwithstanding, I am inclined to believe, Attorney Salaika, that what happened to Yusek Mercado happened also to these 3 other DepEd officials. No copy of complaint, no schedule of hearing, no resolution or decision explaining why you are asking them to resign. And therefore, what you did to them is constructive dismissal.
Again, Your Honor, may I just clarify for the record, it was an instruction by the Vice President. She instructed me to call them and let them know that she has lost her trust and confidence in them.
Mr. Chair, my last question is about the notarized certification by Attorney Abelia. Secretariat, kindly flash the certification of DepEd Confidential Fund 2023, first to third quarter, and then OVP 2022 Confidential Fund, as well as OVP 2023, first to third quarter. Mr. Chair, I wish to manifest that this certification were used in support of the accomplishment report. And this certification were notarized by a certain Attorney Abelia, whom I understand was invited also but did not appear in today's hearing. Tama po ba tayo, Secretariat? She's one of those who did not appear in today's hearing. Nevertheless, Attorney Solaika, are you aware of these documents?
I am not aware of this document. It's only now I see it, Your Honor.
Tataka lang po ako, Attorney Solaika, you are the COS, who therefore is assisting the Vice President as to the documents that she should sign and she should not sign. Ang dami po ng pinepermahan niya. And I thought that it was you, being the Chief of Staff. I do not understand kung bakit you did not assist her at all in all these important documents concerning the utilization of confidential fund. If you're saying again that this did not pass through you, eh sino ho ba nag-a-assist sa ating Vice Presidente sa mga ganitong dokumento?
Your Honor, this is the first time I see it. I would not know who is the one who was assigned to give it to the Vice President.
Attorney Solaika, I'm about to end my interpellation. These are seven documents. And I wish to manifest, ang opisina po ni Attorney Abelia ay nasa Santa Ana, Manila. Ang opisina po ng OVP ay nasa Mandaluyong. Ang opisina po ng DepEd ay nasa Pasig. The Vice President is one of the signatories in all these 7 documents. Can you confirm to us if the Vice President personally appeared before the notary public when these documents were notarized?
Your Honor, I have no information on that.
I
Respectfully, Mr. Chair,
I-
I really have no information.
I just wish, Mr. Chair, that under the rules, when a notary public is notarizing documents, the signatories are supposed to personally appear during the time that the documents are being notarized. And I find it strange that the notary public is located in Manila, the OVP office is in Mandaluyong, the DepEd office is in Pasig, and it is quite hard to believe that the President, the Vice President instead, really took time to be able to appear to the notary public, Mr. Chair.
Actually, it was disclosed during the last hearing. Attorney Sanchez admitted that she just submitted the letter, which was she submitted the letter to the legal department. Tama po ba?
Mr. Chair, that was for my statement before this
Yes.
committee, Mr. Chair.
And you submitted the letter to the legal department without notarization first. Tama po ba? Wala pa.
That is correct,
And you are
Mr.
not
Chair.
aware that it was the legal department who have it notarized. Tama
I-
po ba?
Mr. Chair, I was aware that it may be notarized.
Yes, but you were not present when it was notarized.
Yes,
Tama.
Mr. Chair.
So,
Mr. Chair,
yes, Deputy Speaker J. Suarez.
thank you very much. Mr. Chair, I would just like to direct my questions first to Attorney Sanchez very quickly. Attorney Sanchez, what was one of the first things that you did when you first entered the Congress, the committee hearing?
I took an oath,
You
Mr.
took
Chair.
your oath, no? Sinabi nyo dun sa oath nyo na magsasabi kayo ng katotohanan, na hindi kayo magsisinungaling, tama?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And I would like to assume that you're sticking by that oath.
Yes, Mr.
Okay.
Chair.
So let's just go back a little bit in memory lane, Attorney Sanchez. When we last had a chance to converse, ito pong November 11, babasahin ko lang po itong transcript natin. Nakasulat po dito, Ms. Sanchez, Mr. Chair, based on documents, you mentioned that you have no details about the confidential fund. You
Yes.
mentioned that you have no information or knowledge about the confidential fund. Is that correct?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
You also mentioned that although you are part of the planning, the actual liquidation and utilization, wala po kayong kinalaman. Sinabi niyo po yun.
Mr. Chair, for the planning aspect, Mr. Chair, I was only the signatory as noted by in the physical and financial plan. But as to the specific details,
And
Mr.
then,
Chair,
yes,
I have
and then
no knowledge.
I mentioned, kayo ang finance and administrative officer. You have full knowledge and control over the operations of the Office of the Vice President. That is part of your responsibility. And I stressed the question. My question was, who has knowledge and information over the confidential funds, the utilization, and the liquidation? And you mentioned that
That, Mr. Chair, based on the documents, I would presume it would be the special disbursing officer, Mr. Chair.
yes, other than the special disbursement officer, you mentioned the name Miss Gina Acosta. Is that correct?
That's correct, Mr. Chair.
Yeah. And I asked you, Miss Gina Acosta holds office under whom? And you mentioned,
That she is assigned to the Office of the Chief of Staff, Mr. Chair.
yes. And the chief of staff being
Attorney Lopez, Mr. Chair.
Attorney
Lopez.
Zuleika Lopez, the
Yes,
person
Mr. Chair.
behind you, the person beside you.
Beside-
Okay, now
Yes,
Miss
Mr. Chair.
Lopez. Gina Acosta works directly under you. Is that correct?
Your Honor, Ms. Gina Acosta is one of the employees.
No. My
Under
question
the
is,
Office of the
she
Chief
works
of Staff.
under you?
Under the Office of the Chief of Staff, Your Honor.
Yes, so you have management control supervision over her?
In certain cases, Your Honor, because she acts as the supervising,
No, Miss Lopez, Attorney Lopez, it's something na I've been noticing about the way you've been answering.
oh,
You've
yes.
been very selective and evasive. Just categorically just say, because I'm starting to believe na you're trying to paint an image of a chief of staff that's not actually the role of a chief of staff. I've worked with many chief of staff, and chief of staffs have full control, knowledge, and information about what happens internally and externally in every office. But parang dito sa lagay mo, Hindi yata ganon. So anyway, my question is, Gina Acosta works under you o hindi?
Yes.
Okay. She answers to you, yes or no?
Yes, Your Honor.
So if she answers to you, she's the SDO. Therefore, you would know about her activities, her responsibilities, and duties as the Special Disbursement Officer.
No, Your Honor. No. I was not the person who designated her, Your Honor.
No. That's not my question, Attorney Lopez. My question is, she works under you. You confirmed. You manage her. Yes. Now, my question is, Attorney Lopez, Gina Acosta, you confirmed that she works under you. That is correct?
She works with the Office of the Chief of Staff.
Yes, and you are?
The Chief of Staff.
There you go, right? Now, because she works under you, you supervise her activities, correct?
Certain activities, Your Honor.
Why is it that somebody will work under you and you can only supervise certain activities?
Because she works with the Office of the Chief of Staff, Your Honor, as admin officer, not as disbursing officer. So I only have a direct hand in her work as an admin officer, which is personnel management.
Kasi ang
Supplies
sinabi ni
and
Attorney
procurement.
Sanchez, pagdating sa confidential funds, Attorney Lopez, matanong na kita, may information ka tungkol dito? Meron o wala?
Wala po.
Wala. Eh bakit sinabi ng katabi mo na pagdating sa confidential intelligence fund ng Office of the Vice President, tatlong tao lang ang may knowledge at information dito? Ikaw, Gina Acosta, at si Vice President Sara Duterte. Yan ang sinabi ng katabi mo. Here. So, please explain to me, why would the person beside you say that and you would deny that?
Your Honor, I cannot answer.
Are you
for-
gonna fire her too?
I cannot answer for Director Sanchez, Your Honor.
I know,
can
but
only
my
answer for
question
myself.
is to you, Attorney Lopez. She has that opinion. It's on record, under oath. 3 people have knowledge and information on the confidential funds. You, Gina, the person that works under you, and the Vice President. So why is it now that when I'm asking you, wala kang kinalaman?
Your Honor, Mr. Chair, because that is the truth. I really have no personal knowledge as regards the matter of confidential funds.
Okay. Kung talagang wala kang kinalaman, Attorney Lopez, sa utilization ng confidential funds, why is it that on April 19, 2024, where your signature is affixed to a document that was forwarded to COA, ikaw ang sumasagot sa audit observation memorandum ng COA kung wala kang kinalaman sa confidential funds? Eh bakit ikaw ang sumasagot kung wala kang kinalaman?
Your Honor, as I mentioned earlier, all external communications come from that Office of the
I
Chief
know.
of Staff.
But Attorney Lopez, you're not making sense. You just mentioned that you have no knowledge and information about confidential funds, and yet, to the AOM of COA, ikaw ang sumagot.
Your Honor, with all due respect, respectfully, even for other regular audits, ako po yung all external comms, I sign off on it. It's a
And
matter
also,
of course.
Attorney Lopez, I'll bring you back to another document. August 21, 2024, muli na naman po kayong sumulat kay Chairman ng COA. At dito, sa laman po ng sulat ninyo, ipinapakiusap ninyo na kung maaari, wag i-share ang audit observation ng COA sa Kongreso. Noong August 13, 2024, nag-issue ang House Committee ng Appropriations ng subpoena, Duces Tecum, sa COA kaugnay ng COA Audit Report tungkol sa pondo ng OVP at DepEd. Matapos ang ilang budget hearing kung saan tinalakay ang paggastos ng OVP at ng DepEd Secretary ng pondong ito na umaabot ng 125 million pesos sa loob lamang ng labing isang araw. Totoo po ba ito?
Your Honor, I'm sorry, I did not catch the question. Respectfully, may you please repeat? I'm sorry.
Attorney Lopez, nag-issue po kayo ng sulat sa COA ng August 21, 2024. Tama po ba mali?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ano po ang dahilan kung bakit po kayo sumulat sa COA?
I understand during that time, Your Honor, there was a subpoena issued to the Commission on Audit for the release of certain documents pertaining to the audit, ongoing audit of some transactions of the Office of the Vice President.
So ang dahilan kung bakit po kayo sumulat sa COA ay upang pigilan ang COA mag-release ng kanilang audit report and other related documents tungkol sa utilization ng confidential funds ng OVP at ng DepEd. In your words, you said here, you are of the position that the subject subpoena should not be complied with. Is this correct?
Your Honor,
Is this correct? It's a yes or no, Attorney Lopez. Is this correct? Were these the words you affixed on your letter?
Your Honor,
It's a yes or no, Attorney Lopez. Oo lang po at hindi. Nandito po yung copy ng sulat. Kung gusto niyo po, bigyan ko po kayo ng copy ng sulat ninyo.
may I please
At
have
saka nandito po yung signature ninyo sa kopya, sa sulat.
Your Honor, respectfully, may I request a copy of the said letter? So I can...
Comsec, can you please give this to the person who has lost her memory? Can you just confirm this letter?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
Indicated in
Anyway,
the second
Comsec, can I have
paragraph.
my copy back? Since she has confirmed the letter.
Okay. Thank you.
When you issued this letter, Attorney Lopez, did you act on your own volition? Yes or no?
No, Your Honor.
Hindi. Hindi kayo nag-iisa. So sino ang kasama ninyo nung ito po ay inyong ipinarating sa Commission on Audit? Hindi dapat sila sumunod sa subpoena duces tecum ng Kongreso.
Your Honor, this was a matter I consulted with Mr. Lemuel Ortonio.
Kayong dalawa lang.
Yes, Your Honor, for the matter of the requesting COA.
So, ang sinasabi mo, walang alam si Vice President tungkol dito?
Your Honor, it was a letter that
Ma'am, it's a yes or no. Let's not make life difficult. May kinalaman ba ang Vice Presidente sa sulat na ito? Oo, hindi.
Opo, yes.
So, she knew about the letter. Correct.
Yes, Your Honor.
Before you signed off to it and sent it to COA, correct?
Yes.
So, kayo po ba, Attorney Lopez? Kasi dating po sa amin nito ay una, hindi nun nirerespeto yung subpoena authority ng Kongreso. Pangalawa, parang sinusupil nyo yung karapatan ng mamamayan malaman kung paano ginagamit ang pondo ng mga ahensya na pinagkakatiwalaan ng mamamayan. Na pagdating sa oversight function ng mababang kapulungan at ng Senado, kung ito man ay kanilang gagamitin, ito ay hindi nyo kinikilala. Dahil sa sulat na ito, ipinapakiusap ninyo sa COA na huwag sumunod sa subpoena na in-issue ng Kongreso para hindi ibigay ang COA report sa Kongreso. At sa aking pananaw, this is one way of how do you explain it, Congressman Zia? You're good in explaining. Of covering the truth. Tinatakpan ng katotohanan. Kasi kung wala naman kayong tinatago, di ba? Kung wala naman kayong tinatago, ba't nyo pa papakiusapan yung isang ahensya na hindi i-share ang mga dokumento patungkol sa isang investigasyon na isinasagawa ng isa pang ahensya? Di ba? Ngayon, Attorney Lopez, dahil sa sulat na inalabas ninyo at inamin nyo rin naman na ikaw, si Mr. Ortonio, tama po ba? At ang ating Vice Presidente ang may alam tungkol sa sulat na ito. Hindi po ba kayo naniniwala na karapatan ng taong bayan malaman kung paano nyo po ginastos ang pera na ipinagkatiwala sa inyo?
Your Honor, may I answer?
Please answer.
Mr. Chair, thank you. Respectfully, Your Honor, that letter does not in any way seek to undermine the power of Congress as regards matters regarding to the power of the purse. It is not. It is simply a request to the Commission of Audit, given that there is still an ongoing audit investigation. That's why we requested that since hindi pa naman po natatapos yung audit, hindi naman po din tama na ibibigay na muna yung ganong documents. With due respect also to the audit still being done at the Office of the Vice President. So yun lang po yung position namin. We do not seek to belittle nor undermine the power of Congress, Your Honor. That is the farthest
Yes,
and the least of our intention.
But Attorney Lopez, that is not a call for you to make. Right?
Your Honor, it was
Precisely because you are the agency that is being investigated. That's totally uncalled for. You're asking another agency not to cooperate with Congress when an ongoing investigation is happening. That's suppression of the truth. At the very least, dapat hinayaan nyo na lang. Di ba? Kung wala naman kayong tinatago, pwede nyo naman po ipaliwanag yun dito pag nag-hearing na tayo. Kandi po sa sulat niyo, para pinipigilan nyo yung COA at pinapakiusapan nyo na huwag nyong ibigay. Nasa palagay ko po ay hindi po tama. Hindi po tama sa maraming aspeto ng pagtingin at pananaw. Kasi maaaring tama ang sinabi ninyo na hindi pa kumpleto yung pagsusuri na ginagawa ng COA, but that's not your call to make. That's COA's call to make, which they have emphasized many times while they've been here. But for this letter, Attorney Lopez, mukha po kasing talagang ayaw niyong malaman ng taong bayan kung paano niyo po ginastos yung 612 million pesos na confidential funds ng Office of the Vice President at pati po ng DepEd.
Your Honor, Mr. Chair.
Wait, I'll get you, Attorney Lopez.
Okay.
So ngayon, Attorney Lopez, are you still of the position that you have no knowledge about these confidential funds?
Yes, Your Honor.
You have two documents here that you signed off. One, questioning not naman questioning, na pinapaliwanag mo yung AOM ng COA. Signature mong naka-affix doon. Number two, another letter addressed to COA na ipinapakiusap mo sa COA na wag munang ibigay ang audit observation sa Kongreso. That's your signature. Am I correct, Attorney Lopez?
That is correct, Your Honor.
And you are still expecting that the committee will believe you na pag sinabi mo hanggang ngayon wala ka pa ring alam maski 2 beses ka nang sumulat sa COA tungkol sa confidential fund.
Your Honor, quick reading of the letter would
No,
indicate...
that's my... anyway, Mr. Chair, I would just like to end my point because I don't think Attorney Lopez will cooperate with us anyway. I would just like to manifest those 2 letters are true. Those 2 letters cannot be denied. Her signature is on those 2 letters. Those 2 letters are both addressed to the Commission on Audit. One, intent of the letter, ipinapaliwanag yung audit observation. Pangalawang sulat, ipinapakiusap sa COA na huwag i-share at ibahagi ang audit observation sa Kongreso. So napakahirap pong paniwalaan ng isang taong nakapirma sa 2 sulat na yan ay walang kinalaman patungkol sa isyong kanyang ipinapakiusap sa Commission on Audit. No one in their right mind, Mr. Chair, will affix their signature in a document that they do not have any knowledge of. Abogado po kayo, Attorney Lopez. Kung ako nga, pipirma lang sa dokumento, inaaral ko muna kung anong nilalaman. Ito pa, COA. Dito pa, pera ng taong bayan. Sorry, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker Jay Suarez.
Respectfully,
Before I
Mr. Chair.
recognize Congressman Sia and
Respectfully, Mr. Chair.
yes, you want to respond?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
As regards the matter of the writing to the Commission on Audit, as regards the subpoena, we recognize the authority and the power of the Commission of Audit, Your Honor, as to all matters pertaining to audit, which is why we wrote to them. That was just our request on the end of the Office of the Vice President. And as regards the matter of explaining or explanation sent as to the AOM, those are matters, Your Honor, that, as I mentioned earlier, external communications fall under the Office of the Chief of Staff. The matter as to the preparation, etc., as long as it's in good compliant with form, those are matters that I sign off to as a matter of course. Hence the 2 letters, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Lopez. Yes, Senior Deputy Speaker Don Gonzales, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Attorney Zulaika Lopez, ma'am, kanino nagre-report si Gina Acosta at Edward Paharda when it comes to confidential funds po?
Your Honor, I am not privy to that information.
Although you are the Chief of Staff, ma'am, hindi mo alam yun.
Yes, I am the Chief of Staff, but I have a certain role. It's, as mentioned earlier, Your Honor, Mr. Chair, in the Office of the Vice President, parang compartmentalized siya. We only perform certain functions. And my area of expertise is actually operations, Your Honor, for our socioeconomic programs.
Yes, ma'am, but you have been with Gina Acosta since you were the city administrator of Davao. Tama po ba?
That is correct, Your Honor.
But Gina Acosta holds confidential funds. Tama po ba?
She is the SDO.
So does that mean that the Vice President trusts her more than you, ma'am? But you are the Chief of Staff.
Your Honor, I cannot presume to answer for the Vice President and as to who she trusts.
If I am the congressman, I have my Chief of Staff. Of course, I will call first by Chief of Staff. Everything, malalaman ko po yun. Kaya on Gina Acosta, parang pinagtitiwalaan po si Gina Acosta, the new, ng ating Vice President. Tama po ba?
Again, Your Honor, I cannot answer for the Vice President if she will trust another person more than she trusts me. I cannot answer that.
Did Gina Acosta ever coordinate the confidential fund with you, ma'am?
No, Your Honor.
So she kept everything confidential fund and did not clear to you, ma'am?
No, Your Honor. She did not provide me. She does not report to me on matters
Parang hindi ka
like
papaniwala
that.
ko, ma'am.
Your
Pakiulit
Honor,
po.
as stated earlier, Miss Gina Acosta is with the Office of the Chief of Staff. That is correct. She is our supervising admin officer. She is our OSH, our safety officer. She handles the personnelling and procurement of office supplies in the Office of the Chief of Staff, Your Honor. That is one of her many functions, and those are the functions that she reports to me. But as regards the disbursement, those are matters that I am not privy to, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Attorney Lopez, can you tell us your working relationship with Miss Gina Acosta?
Professional, Your Honor. We have a professional working relationship.
On the subpoena letter, why did you write COA not to comply with the committee subpoena, ma'am?
Why did we write?
Why did you write COA not to comply with the committee subpoena?
Your Honor, that was the position of the Office of the Vice President, given that there was an ongoing audit of the funds being undertaken at that time. So we felt it was our position that masyado pa siyang, hindi pa siya, it's too early to be providing data because it is not actually final. That was our position, Your Honor.
So, meaning to say, this is not obstructing the process from Congress, Attorney Lopez?
Your Honor, that is the farthest from our intention. That's why we wrote, it is actually a recognition of the power of both Congress for the power of the purse and COA also for all things audit. That's why we wrote the Commission on Audit for this matter. It was simply a request, Your Honor, that they can approve or deny.
I thought that you had nothing to do with the confidential funds. So what's the reason for the letter then, Attorney Lopez? What is the reason for the letter?
Your Honor, as mentioned earlier, all external communications come from and emanate from the Office of the Chief of Staff. This was a matter that was raised by Mr. Ortonio, and when I also read the letter, I was of the position that tama naman yon kasi mayroon pang ongoing audit. So it is on this belief and our position that we and requested from the Commission on Audit.
So ngayon po, Mr. Chairman, naniniwala na kayo na you know very well what's going on with the confidential funds. Naniniwala na po kayo. You know everything.
Your
You
Honor,
know very well what's going on the confidential fund based on your answers and statement.
Your Honor, it is really a response to the ongoing audit. Yun lang po yung role ko as Chief of Staff because all letters emanate from the Office of the Chief of Staff. And for reasons of parity, Your Honor, because we are writing the Commissioner, it is the highest official from the OVP who will have to sign off on the letter. Hence, it was signed as a matter of course. Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chair.
I receive a letter now. I receive a picture now from Butuan. Sabi niyo nandun si SDO Gina Acosta. Natanggap po akong picture, wala pong tao dun sa Butuan. Meron mga umiikot lang, mga ilang tao. Pero sabi niyo may activities po sa Butuan. Mr. Chairman, could you please answer that? As of this point in time, walang tao po sa Butuan. Dun sa inyong opisina doon.
Your Honor, Mr. Chair, I understand from the statement of Director Baloro that the event is in Hinoog.
You told me that a simultaneous event.
Opo.
There is wala pong tao sa Butuan.
Hindi po sa opisina ng Office of the Vice President sa Butuan, Your Honor. It's in another area, which are... hindi po sa opisina. Meron po kaming opisina, Your Honor, Mr. Chair, sa Caraga. That is found in the city of Butuan. Totoo po yun. But the event, kasi simultaneous activities yan, Your Honor, hindi po siya nangyayari sa opisina, but on ground. Katulad ng sinabi po niya, Hinoog City and Magallanes.
Anyway, thank you
Mr.
po,
Chair.
Attorney Lopez, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chair, I was the one who asked that specific question. I asked him, where exactly are these activities happening now? And nang sabi po niya, I wasn't asking him about the satellite offices. I was asking him, where exactly in Caraga are these activities now happening today? So it's either you gave me a wrong answer or you're just lying. You tried to evade my question. I asked you specifically where particular areas in Caraga are this happening. Kasi nga wala dito si Ms. Gina, kasi dahil dun eh.
Your Honor,
And now you're telling us now, Mr. Chair, that you are referring to the location of your satellite offices?
Mr. Chair.
I wasn't asking him about the satellite offices. I was asking him where exactly are these